Alright, we are back with the next part of Tales of Luminaria. I wanted to continue the stream last night, but it got a little bit too late for me personally. But whatever, we're back now. And we're actually going to open today's stream with a summon since I haven't had enough gems. And so, usually I would just spend the summon on Edward, but since we want to rate the costumes later tonight, I'm going to instead just try to summon and get one I don't already own, which is Leo's. Most likely. I'm not expecting much out of this. Is just a single multi-summon. But on the plus side, it's all going to be Leo related equipment. So regardless, he'll get a nice power up. And he is who we're playing next in the story. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Alright, cool. That's a nice gift to send us off with from the game. That's probably gonna be the last multi-summon I ever get, if I'm being real. Might as well clear that bonus mission while we got the chance. Until we can't later. These challenges aren't usually very hard. It's just a nice way to raise the level cap of one of your characters. Really creative way of doing so too. Instead of like collecting material and spending them, you just have to summon the right thing and clear chat and or clear challenge missions to make your character strong. First class this Mysterio doesn't seem as good as his other, just because it doesn't last for as long, and it doesn't seem to give him a bonus status increase, so I think I still prefer his other, definitely because I have his other one leveled up like to level 3, that definitely helps. I'll say, once you get the ball rolling, these levels just kind of just spam this. It does look like it applies burn though. That's a benefit of it, I guess. Maybe if it was leveled up, it would probably do more damage. I mean, it definitely already has higher stats than the base. All episode 2 from it comes with a base 180 instead of a base 120, which is what its strength. Level 27 with Leo, that's nice. That's just further solidifying him as my second strongest character. Most of his strength comes from the fact that I think it was around. It was either during the interlude, like the first crossroads, or actually probably like no, I think it was in the Bastion summons. I was trying to get his katana for the ruin damage, so I summoned a bunch of katanas, but I mostly just got Leo and Anomali's. And that's why they're like my other two behind Edward for strength. Just because how many katanas I summoned that day. Anyway, we're gonna resume with the final episode. I believe we are going to be leading off with Leo, if I remember correctly from yesterday. My volume on, it is. Making sure.
Okay, here we are in Lund. Mission's simple enough. Free a village from the tyranny of the Empire. Let's carry it out with our nobility at full throttle.
Yeah, we get it. The town we're liberating is called Kashur Village. But before we head there, we need to link up with Instructor Lisette.
So the instructor's having us subjugate an Imperial village now?
You okay?
Hey, Hugo.
And Hugo really just
Did
doesn't want
something
to
happen
do
between
anything
you
the
and the
Federation
instructor?
wants to anymore.
Picked up on that, did you? Yeah. We had a little argument during our last mission.
Little? Judging from how you two have been acting...
Leo?
Sorry.
No, I should be the one to apologize.
So yeah, he's like
It was selfish of me to
has
take
had
on
it
my anger.
confirmed that like definitely the Federation is the one who like
I mean,
destroys
I've been a bit
its own,
insensitive myself.
or like just kills people
bit.
indiscriminately. He really
Hey,
doesn't want
watch
to
it, bub.
have a part in that.
Yeah. You don't worry about anything, do you? Never change, Leo.
Come on, man. Being treated like a kid ain't noble at all.
That isn't what I'm doing. I'm serious. I sincerely hope that you'll stay just as you are now. You too, Celia.
Hugo.
In any case,
Hugo's such a nice
let's
guy.
get
He
going.
doesn't want his friends to be corrupted
I
by
wonder where the
the
instructor
fucking
is.
government conspiracies and be tricked into doing terrible things.
Why can't you understand what I'm telling you? I told you I do understand. But you refuse to see my point of view. Excuse me? Ugh, stop being so self-centered.
Hold up, you two. What's going on?
We're playing mommies and daddies.
You're imitating your parents having a fight?
Yeah, it's super fun. We were fighting over what to put on some fried eggs.
Oh. Cool.
Fights can start over even the most trivial things.
Fucking kids these days. What you got for me, sir?
The instructor of Blaze? I imagine she'd be in the Lun Pilier.
The Pilier? That's the huge tower-like thing, right?
Yeah, it's the central point of Lun. It provides the city with most of its power.
It's huge! It's as big as a primordial beast!
True. I bet my legs would start shaking if I stood on the top floor.
You and me both. The city has a pretty...
Well, it was ruled by the Empire for a while.
See, that's some clever
Yeah, you can tell by
foreshadowing
how
there.
ordered the
You know, it's not
districts are.
foreshadowing because we already know that the
Ordered.
two of them are gonna fight at the top of the tower because that's what
Let's
happens
head
in
to
the
the
anime.
Pilier.
Now this town's layout's convenient. But it's got no heart, damn it!
Wow, Leo, talking about heart?
Wasn't expecting that.
It's not that shocking, is it?
Might just be me, but I swear
Heading back
Leo's
up through
voice
the
lines in this
thoroughfare,
entire episode have
There's a
sounded
weapon
a
shop
little
and
off.
item shop on the left. There's also a tavern on the right. And the Pilier is...
Ah, come on, we don't need directions to get there.
Let me tell you, Leo. That way of thinking is why you always get lost.
Ah, you got it all wrong. When it seems like I'm lost, I'm really just scouting around.
You're something else.
So, is the instructor inside?
Let's
Hey,
ask this
you're in
man,
Blaze,
find
right?
out, Leo.
Instructor Lisette was here earlier. She said she was gonna go eat at a tavern before the mission.
Fair. Can't fight on an empty stomach.
You sound like Vanessa. Food gives you the strength you need to survive. Anyway, let's get going.
Alright. Man, up close it looks even bigger. City can't have heart with something like this.
I wonder if it's true.
What?
That this Kashur village is being oppressed, I mean.
Of course it is. Things have got to be awful there, right?
You think so? Seeing this city, I'm not so sure. I wonder if Imperial rule is really as bad as we're led to believe.
So what? We primitive feds should just surrender and let the Empire assimilate us?
I didn't say that. But if you consider the phrasing of our orders carefully, you'll see that we're meant to occupy Kashur, not liberate it. Villages near the border change hands fairly often. And the last time Kashur was under federal control, I hear that the army extorted money from the village's residents.
Hugo. Just what is up with you today? You...
Calm down. Enough talk, guys.
Alright, Leo again
Let's
is
just head to
so
that tavern,
mad.
okay?
Just because Hugo is literally like the only person in the world who can like view things from more than one perspective.
We take a right here to reach the tavern, correct?
I mean, obviously that would be part of Leo's character growth that the
What I
game
said
would
earlier
go on.
was thoughtless. I'm sorry.
No. I'm sorry for getting so heated.
I think the only way you could possibly get Leo to listen
Oh,
to someone else's
instructor.
perspective if you mention the word noble at any point. See, was there anyone to talk to down here real quick? Another model query shop, and this is a reused model from Aiden's.
Hey there, handsome. Have some time to spare?
Sorry. We're on a mission?
Oh dear, is that right? How unfortunate. But since you're such
Come
a
on,
cute
Leo, don't let
boy,
this pass
I'll
up.
send you off with a special little something.
What is it?
A sweet, juicy candy apple. Good luck with your mission.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Suspicious candy apple, what the fuck? I'm gonna have to see what that looks like later. I wonder what makes it so suspicious.
I'm sorry we're late.
Quite all right. Can you lay out the steps we'll have to take to achieve our mission?
We need to wipe out any obstacles standing in the way of us recapturing Kashur village. Which means beating up the Imperial soldiers outside Lun, right?
I see. We need to deal with the local threat first. Otherwise, Kashur will be recaptured right after we take it.
That's correct.
Okay. In that case, us three will...
Sorry. I have to go on ahead with some other Federation soldiers. To keep a lookout from outside the village.
Right. But I suppose us three still applies. Only now it'll be me, Fulcad, and Simon.
Ah, I see. Roger that.
Instructor, are you sure
Leo is about to
they'll be
listen to
okay
some
without
shit.
me?
Did you forget? They'll have me, your instructor.
And Hugo
No matter how
and Zed
badly
are
they
gonna
disgrace
be at
themselves
each
on the
other's
battlefield,
throats the whole
I
time.
promise to use all my
Or rather,
strength to keep
Hugo
them
would
alive.
just be the one yelling all the
That's
time
not
without
really
listening.
what I'm concerned about.
Hmm?
Actually, it's nothing. Alright, I should get going. Try your best out there, everyone. Entering a battlefield is a matter of
I
life
talked
or
about
death.
Hugo being the only one who could like see things from other
Right.
perspectives, but
Starting to get a
he's
little
like
nervous.
actually way worse, at least
You
when
be
it comes
careful
to
too,
this
Celia.
shit about the
do.
Federation and them wronging him.
Thank you, RVA. I knew I could count on you. Now then, we should get moving too.
Leo, me, and the instructor, huh?
Is that a problem, Simon?
No.
We'll see you later, Celia.
Okay. See you. Are they really going to be okay?
Oh, someone's gonna be dead by the end of this, Elliot, don't you worry. And if only this game actually had like main characters that died. Maybe if it went on long enough, maybe that would have happened. But it looks like these, looking at the chronology, it looks like fucking like 8 episodes per
Now
character
then,
is what was
Before
planned.
we can take and hold Kashyyyk
I would have thought
Village,
only 5, but apparently it
we
was.
need to eliminate any force
eight,
that could
I think.
potentially threaten them. We'll crush the nearest Imperial bases and devastate their ranks.
Got it.
I wouldn't have thought it'd be able to use one of these types of things. I don't know. His dash doesn't really have as much range, at least compared to something like Alexander's. It literally goes half the fucking map.
I can't believe I get to serve on the battlefield with you, instructor. It's a real honor. Plan to learn as much as I can from you.
An admirable attitude, Fulcard. Though personally, I would have preferred to avoid this. The front lines are no place for inexperienced students.
Bro, can auto boots job. Why am I going there?
We'll fight nobly till the very end. Take this!
I like that when Leo's episode 2 came around. Like the only buffs he got was basically frame beta because he was already a really strong character. So he just like cancel his bases and just charge like fast when he was able to. And his sword swings hit a lot earlier than before. Team on Mystic, I should be enough for this place, right?
Come at me, you damn Imperials!
I admire your enthusiasm.
No, they're not swarming.
Prioritize survival over fighting to the last.
You got it, instructor.
You too, Simon.
Yes, I fully intend to survive. And I don't need to be told that by
Hit him with that room. One.
You! Don't move!
Take this!
Dude, Ruin is just such a good debuff. Even though my other sword is level 5, I'd rather just use the Ruin.
Bring it on!
Even though the Ruin's only level 1, just because of how much of a significant damage increase it gives you after the fact. It's the main reason also I really wanted to summon Hugo's new episode 2 sword, because it does a big Ruin damage thing.
What's the matter with you two?
Like just having
You're in
Ruin
full
damage to your
form.
kid like makes you so much stronger.
I feel like we're fighting fairly well.
As far as I
individuals, sure.
know,
But you aren't in
only
sync with each other.
katanas and swords have access
As
to
a
that
pair, you
element
fought
now.
better when you first joined the academy.
That can't be true. Hey, Hugo. You don't think we...
And just whose fault do you think that is? Oh, sorry, I wasn't talking about you, Leo. Honestly, if we're not in sync, that's mostly my fault. Hey, I'll follow your lead from here on out.
You will? If you say so, then... Okay. Bring it on! Oh, yeah. This is what happiness tastes like.
Another main character advantage is that he likes the clean stuff. The cheapest food has basically full healing. Healing and both are like that. I mean, there's several characters in the game that are fully healed basically by the basic cure. It always just makes it convenient. You don't have to spend a lot of gold taking all of the expensive food.
We have gotten
It made
stronger,
all
though,
the
haven't we?
Edward raids
Yeah, we've
really,
been training daily
or
for
at
the
least
past year.
easier for me.
And we've been sent out on some tricky missions, too. I'm sure we've progressed since we started here.
Yeah, right?
So let's show some results on this battlefield. That way no one will have an excuse to complain about us.
Yeah.
Bring it on!
I'm assuming it's on the other side as well. Okay, good. I was gonna look down if that gem was just on the other side. Oh, I actually got the fall there. That was crazy. So Leo is definitely one of my top like, five, possibly even 3 characters to play as in the game. His combat's just so simple, but insane, incredibly strong and satisfying. I mentioned before was that like, there's a lot of characters that feel like they can't really do anything without their arts or missing arts. But Leo's one of the characters who feels like he's still a full character even without them. Yeah, this time I'll save on this character. Captain
You got it. I'll do whatever it takes to protect you and Celia.
Right.
Enough! Time for me to settle this!
I'm gonna ruin this restoration dude. Killing like 2 hits. Oh, that's the last hit, doesn't even have to go off.
You don't need to remind me.
Alright, we won! How'd we do in that base, instructor? Come on!
I suppose you earned passing
I was
grades.
like, even just comparing Leo's combat voice line to the way he's speaking in this episode.
I've told you this before.
If they say there's a different voice actor in this chapter, I wouldn't be surprised.
This means that when you're not on the same page.
But at the same time, I want to believe it's still him.
Take this!
Because it only sounds like slightly off. It's not like crazy different.
Bring it on! Bring it on! Bring it on!
Your true power only shines rarely when the two of you are in total alignment. So work on that. And try not to trouble RVA so much, alright?
You noticed?
Of course. I am your instructor, after all.
You won't let us forget it.
So I can't believe Leo was one of the characters they buffed the back half of. He really didn't need it. He's a left arm. No other character. Like he's always going forward, not backwards. Like it makes sense they did it for a lot of the zoners. Like a lot of those characters like Celia and Maxine. I don't even remember if they did it for Maxine, honestly. But they did it for Celia and Michelle and Yelsi and Lizette. I don't want to Yelsi. We'll talk about her later.
Okay, let's show off our true power then.
Don't need to tell me twice. Let's put in enough for Celia too.
Very good.
Oh my god.
I'll support you
It's so
from afar.
noticeable that Leo's voice is different.
We're just getting started.
Surrender isn't an option! Fight!
Come on! Take this! Bring it on!
I'm gonna feel very stupid if apparently not a different voice actor. But it seems very weird that the lines are recorded so differently. Like he's saying it with a completely different tone in his voice.
All set to go, Leo?
Yep. Another win for us.
That's
To you,
how
instructor.
the fuck is it lying?
This
I
battle's
mean,
a
enemies
piece of
didn't
cake.
spawn.
Get too carried away, full cod. Overconfidence can easily lead to death. Focus on what's in front of you. Do you hear me?
Yes, of course. Loud and clear.
Good.
It's crazy. Leo's come along since his episode 1 where he was like very scared to kill people, and now he's just like all for it. Like his rage for the Empire has just been getting greater and greater. Almost as if someone wanted it to be. I think Hugo really has some sort of special bond or power
So you
or
even
whatever.
gave Leo
And it would have
your
benefited
special lesson about
whoever
death, huh?
was in charge.
Yep, that's our instructor. Bring it, some thought.
They would have wanted both of them together.
Yes,
Or
her
the
lesson's
Vicar
really
wanted.
over.
And we saw in part 1 of this
So
episode.
much so that they leave a lasting mark on your heart.
So August taking Hugo is literally the best thing for like probably the whole world. Because if both Hugo and Leo got trapped or like got controlled by her, no one probably could have stopped it.
You're hurt badly.
August and the
Pull back
boss
and
weren't
recover.
strong enough.
This is the best!
Bring it on! Take that! Bring it on! Come on!
And from like initial points, like Hugo is a lot more of a typical protagonist than Leo. Leo seems like a tragic side character, but as the story goes on, Leo's chronology mentions him being named head of Blaze after Lucian leaves. So probably live in big arcs of him needing to be convinced by Hugo and or figuring things out by himself and realizing how wrong he was and stuff.
Bring it on!
And then him, Hugo, and Celia would have gone back together as friends to fight whatever evil god is at the end was going to be at the end of this game.
Seems these Imperial soldiers
Okay, I
are
say
ready to
Celia, but it's
leave.
most likely that it would have been like
Looks like they're scared of us.
it would have been things like
maybe
Leo, Hugo, and Edward probably. Since each of them, they were the main characters of their
Should
respective
be
groups.
focusing on the enemy.
So each of the main
Right,
characters would have been
Right.
who like fight the big evil god in the end, all three of them together in a party. Which would have been really cool to see. All three of them are really good characters.
Enough.
Who the fuck's this? Boss?
Enough.
I don't have an enemy. Oh, there we go. Why do you spawn in this corner? That cursor is like everything.
Take a look at how much I've improved!
Oh, well, show me your best effort.
Bring it on!
Cut rusty.
Eat that! I think... Take that! Ah, yeah!
That strike impact art is just so good because it hits such a big area.
Looks like there's still quite a few more bases remaining.
We need to hurry up and get this area under control.
Then we can head to Kashur. Celia should be waiting.
So this
there.
part
My
looks
heart's
like
racing
it's gonna
just
be a little
thinking
shorter
about
than
it.
I
I'm
thought.
coming for
I
you,
would have thought
Kashur.
Leo would have gone a longer section, but it's just this one battlefield section.
Liberate you from the Empire's tyranny. Take that!
Right.
Come on! Oh yeah. This is what happiness tastes
As
like.
far as
And what do you
Hugo's
think,
concerned, you're just gonna
Instructor?
replace one form of tyranny with another. The Empire probably wasn't even terrorism.
About our Kashur village mission. Is it a liberation like Leo says? Or an occupation like the mission briefing said?
Take that! Hugo, are you seriously bringing that up again?
Fine.
Beat it! Bring it on! Take that!
See, Liv like doesn't like the things she has to do, and so she should be all for like just telling Hugo and Leo like what's actually going on. But she,
Do not mess with Blaze.
like obviously, like the higher ups like are able to control her arrangements for like the gas bar and her scenes. They can just threaten them instead of her, and then she's just too strong to like die on any suicide missions they actually do send her on.
But first, let me ask one thing. Are my thoughts on this mission truly something you care to hear?
They are. This matters to me.
I see. Fine. I'll tell you after we crush this base.
It's about time someone taught you a lesson!
Eat that! Awaken my embleo! Take that!
Leo, keep attacking!
I love Leo's voice lines when he like screams and gets hype.
Well, which is
Yeah,
it?
that's
Don't
like
be
Aaron
so
Dismuke's
impatient.
best is when he's loud.
Federation intends to do no more than occupy Kashur. I do not mean to deny Foucault's perspective. At the same time, I won't act like my superiors and I are more righteous than we are.
Instructor.
I see. Praiseworthy adult way of thinking.
That's the best you can say, Hugo. Come on, man. I mean, as long as he isn't trying to kill her like he was in Hugo episode 2. I mean, he will be by the end of this, apparently.
Bring it on!
I just want to backfold because it's so much faster. There's some challenge missions that like feel straight up impossible unless you abuse the increased backfold distance for some characters, or like reach certain goals in a short enough period of time. Those are always the hardest of all the challenges. Oops, sorry, hiccup. Because sometimes it moves backwards and it doesn't like to be cooperative sometimes. You gotta be like really precise. Your finger flicking.
But it's the same kind of thinking that's used to justify causing tragedy after tragedy.
Hey, cool it, Hugo.
You know nothing. So shut up and keep playing champion of justice.
Did you say?
Damn, bruh.
The mission isn't
They have
over
to fight
yet.
before this is over.
You want RVA to pay the price for your infighting?
Come on!
I mean, Hugo could be a lot gentler. He knows Leo's not the brightest dude ever. So instead of trying to like force him to like forget everything he's ever been taught and let go of all his hate, you should like do something a little slower than try to just immediately force these new ideas on him. Say Hugo's supposed to be the guy who overthinks things and takes too long to make a decision, but when it comes to his friends, he makes his decisions way too quickly.
Watch it! Bring it! Watch it! Watch it! Bring it on!
Bro, what is his enemy formation?
How did they make it to our stronghold?
Pull yourselves
Assuming that
together.
there was gonna be like
I'll apologize
three
for my
people
own shortcomings.
charging this gate. What is that triangle accomplish? They all have spears, as long as they even have like archers or
Hold
anything.
your heads and focus on the fight before you.
There's like a couple gunners and arts users, but 90% of those dudes are spears. Why do I lock on to those?
Suffering in the village.
Lock on to those guys, but think.
Not over yet! Engage the enemy!
Alright.
How about that? This is the Foucault family way. Take that.
What the fuck? Oh, the ruin just ran out before that
Maybe
final hit.
winning.
That sucked.
Don't let up.
That would have killed him.
I know. I always fight nobly.
Got rusty?
Eat that. All right. That's the end of that.
Well, ready to go to the village? Celia's waiting after all.
Hey, Hugo, wait.
What are they gonna find there? That's gonna be terrifying. for some reason
Instructor,
only
I have a
fucking
request.
Hugo's gonna actually
What's that?
interpret it as something bad.
I don't know what happened to cause a rift between you and Hugo. But please, won't you forgive him so things can go back to normal?
Listen, Fulcad.
Hugo's a great guy. Probably the nicest guy I've ever met. The only reason I've gotten to run around making a show of being noble for so long is because he's been by my side. That's why.
Don't worry, Fulcad. I have no axe to grind against Simon.
You really don't?
No. In fact, the blame here lies with me. I'm responsible for everything.
What are you saying?
Someday, I'll explain it to you. For right now...
I know what you're gonna say. We need to focus on the Kashir mission, right? Hey, Instructor. Hugo was saying... when the Federation last held Kashir, our soldiers might have oppressed the village too.
Listen,
But
these
it
like
can't
proper
be.
cutscenes.
There's no way such an
Leo's
ignoble
voice is a
story can be
lot
true,
more normal,
right?
but that like
Hear me, Fulcad.
in-game
I
dialogue
won't ask you
sounded
to stop believing in
off.
the Federation. However, you must set your blind faith aside and start thinking about things for yourself. For both your own life and the lives of your friends hang in the balance here.
Right.
Here goes! Come on!
We're almost at Kashir. That's...
Their backups arrived! Keep them out of the village no matter what!
Looks like they've started the mission without us.
Celia's in trouble?
Oh,
Damn
don't
it.
say Sully is in trouble.
Hey! Hugo! Instructor, we need to go
Oh,
after
wow.
him.
Before that, one question,
I would have
Fulcad.
liked to have seen a mini cutscene of that, but
Are
whatever.
you mentally prepared for this?
I am. Talking with you helped me to sort things out a little.
Good. Then let's do this.
Doesn't seem like it did, Leo, but whatever. Whatever you say.
This world's a
For
complicated
the game
place.
being
full
cut
of
short like
conflicting
this,
views. Everywhere I've
gonna have to
been,
kind of
find
accept that
questions
character
instead of
development
answers.
comes out of nowhere.
That's true for all
Even though
of
this
us.
is still, I still don't know what this is. I'm pretty sure this is still before that part 1 of the episode.
I'll carry the
But whatever.
nobility that Grandma taught me and survive this war.
Well said. As expected of a student of mine.
You taught me well, Instructor.
More of them?
Less
This corner,
talking,
nope.
more fighting.
Yes, try to get that. Oh, that did have a lot of help. I'm just missing it.
Awaken my empleo! Take that!
Rusty?
Are you ready, Instructor Lizette?
Who do you think you're talking to?
I think we got this. Almost there.
It's too early to get drunk on your victory.
Too slow.
Good. That's the end of that. Time to push into the village, Fulcad.
You got it. Now, let's liberate Kishore from the Empire.
Yes, let's.
Hold on. Yuko and Celia.
Bro, what is this bitch ass doing outside the gate? Bro, get in there and do something.
Who are you two?
Reinforcements. Now tell me, how do you explain this?
Explain
Our
all these
orders were
dead
to
people,
minimize
sir.
damage to the village.
I know. Apologies.
Where's the Blaze cadet who preceded us?
She had a disagreement with our superior before the mission, so she headed deeper into the village than the rest of us.
What did they argue about?
Miss RVA said we should wait for your arrival before thinking about starting our attack. But our superior
It's almost
officer
like
said that
she
we
was
couldn't
correct
wait any
in
longer.
that she
Sounds like that
didn't
officer
want
was a little too
the
hungry
corrupt
for
military to
glory.
do the corrupt military
He's the
thing.
one who caused all this damage to the village. He isn't noble at all. Why would Celia act alone?
She said she didn't want us risking our lives for nothing. So she acted first, despite the danger.
Celia.
We need to catch up with her at once, Volkod.
Right. Instructor, look.
Some mayor you are! You betrayed us, you rat!
I would never.
Is this how you repay us for protecting your village from beasts?
Repay you? We've already paid the Empire substantial fees for your protection.
Enough! Death to the traitor!
And every
On
border
my
town
watch!
sucks regardless who controls it.
Who are you?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a champion of...
Gaspar's episode, and then
I'm a simple soldier in training who aspires to
I
live
forget
nobly.
whose episode we went to that same village
Federation
again.
scum! Get out of this village right this instant!
How funny. I was just about to tell you to do the same. Yum.
I'm so happy right now.
You alright?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
No need for thanks. This is the Federation Army's responsibility, after all.
I am awfully impressed, I must say. Federation Knights are truly a cut above the rest.
Thanks. I'm still in training, though.
Oh, that doesn't matter. You're clearly a noble and upstanding young man.
Oh, he called him noble. It's over.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
This isn't the first time I've been saved by knights in training either. Fine youths, both you and her.
Let's go, Volkod.
Right. Roger that. I need to go, so take shelter, okay?
Of course. Good luck!
That soldier said RVA headed deep into the village.
Yeah. Let's hurry.
No, this
There
is
they
a
are.
different village.
Celia, and you go too.
This layout looks familiar. though.
Leo, you made it.
Good work holding out. Leave the rest to us.
No. I'll keep fighting till the mission's over.
But you hurt yourself protecting me, Hugo.
Oh, that?
Bro, how did the
This
tank
wound
of
is
the
no
party
big
get hurt?
Did you forget what I said? I told you to prioritize survival
entire
over
gimmick is
fighting to the
walking.
last.
She's right, Hugo. Go see if there are any villagers who haven't evacuated yet. That's an important part of this liberation mission too, right?
Okay. Thanks, Leo.
I can't believe those Empire guys just let them have that
We're on out.
conversation.
This is our fight. Ready, Volkod?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Do you two actually think you stand a chance? Huh? Have a taste of my reactor!
A reactor?
So reactors
Imperial tech
literally
sure is a pain in the
suck.
ass.
Unless you're a character with a name,
So is what
you,
we've got.
it doesn't matter
How
what you
about
are.
we give them a taste of the Federation's embleos?
Yeah, you said it.
Oh yeah!
More reinforcements? They've got reactors too.
I wonder just how much of their primordial beast they had to shave off to make this many reactors.
Seems like the more callous you are, the stronger you get.
That applies to many things in this world.
Well, even so, I'm gonna fight to the bitter end, with nobility in my heart!
Yes. That's an admirable strength in itself, Volcod. More of them, huh? If there are this many, then some may go after Simon and RVA.
They'll be fine. They're your students too, after all.
That they are. You're all distinguished members of Blaze now.
This'll settle it!
Yeah, we are. Besides, compared to your nightmarish lessons, these guys are
See,
nothing.
if I didn't know that, I'd
What
say this
was
was
that,
the
Volcod?
final episode of the game.
Huh? Nothing, instructor!
Was that phrasing?
We knew
Everyone
they'd be
showing
numerous.
growth?
The price of fighting in their turf.
Yeah. Still don't know whether this village would be happier under federal or imperial rule. But I'll support the Federation, because that's where I met everyone who taught me how to be a knight. I believe in all of you, so I'll believe in the Federation too!
Sounds like you've found yourself an answer, Volcod. I see new resolve in you.
These are all very good resolves that were probably slated to happen way later in the
It's
story.
over now.
And
Right.
honestly, make it the
Yes.
part 1 of this
Looks like
episode
the Imperials
even
have
weirder.
begun to retreat. To borrow your phrasing, as of this moment, Kashur Village
Because if this happened,
has been
as if this
liberated
part
from
happened
Imperial
before the
control.
part 1 with the and the stuff with the vicar, then
But our job isn't
Leo
done
wouldn't
yet.
have been so quick to
We
yell
still need to
blasphemy
dispose
at the
of these
Empire,
reactors.
guys.
Yeah. If we just leave them lying around, and someone uses them, it could end badly.
Just wait till
Is
Leo
that really
finds
the
out
case,
about
though?
the Federation
you
hiring
go.
mercenaries who steal
What
reactors
exactly is
off
the
dead
problem with
Imperials
reactors
and
being available
just
in
to
the
fight
Federation?
one man
What? Well,
and sacrifice
obviously,
countless soldiers just to
It
tire
isn't
him
the
out.
common people who would be troubled by them. Rather, it's the higher-ups who can't tolerate any wavering in primordial beast worship. In other words, the Brass and Arconis and the Vicar.
Hugo, what the hell is wrong with you? Have you forgotten about our home?
Right,
About who it was that caused
Leo,
that
you
tragedy?
just said you're gonna believe in your friends.
How could I forget? It's because of that tragedy that my eyes are...
Simon,
I'll head back to the academy on my own.
Simon, wait.
Hugo. I honestly have no idea what it is you're seeing that makes you resent the Federation so much. And I'm sorry. But even if you aren't, I can't help but be proud of this achievement. Of the happy smiles my amazing noble allies helped create.
I mean, Hugo was one of those allies too. At least maybe have a conversation about it.
Leo? Could that be? What?
Oh, it's those things. Of course. Those things that only ever appeared in the Shell episode 1.
What
And
is
if I
this?
had a theory
The
about them, it
Empire
would be that
attack.
they are what happens when embryos do
Why?
not like their host.
Why would they do this? I have to go. Leo, I'll save you.
That's bullshit.
Huh?
I think that's one of the strongest curses we've heard so far in this game.
Taking innocent people's lives isn't a mission. It's just murder.
Hugo, do you
Don't
not
you give
remember
me
this?
that.
She really didn't want to do what she did.
Why burn the village? Tell me. What purpose did that serve? Huh? What was that? It was an Empire job. What does that mean?
I was right. It was the Empire. They did this.
Oh. Now I'm catching on. Everything that's happened in Lasant. You mean to pin it all on the Empire, don't you? So you had all those Federation soldiers disguise themselves as Imperials. Good work. I don't want to hear it. Everything I've done. What was the point of it all?
No way!
Hey, you there! What are you doing here?
The attack on the village. The Empire didn't do it. It was the Federation?
You heard everything. So now what? I can't just look the other way and let him go. Powers that be would never let a loose thread like that keep dangling. There's no doubt in my mind he'd be killed. Which means there's only one thing I can do. I've got to alter his memories and attempt to give him a deep-seated fear of the Federal Army. That's it. If I want to save him.
The fuck sort of
the only
magic
way.
bullets do you have to do that?
Gaspard, if you don't mind, I'll
Apparently.
need one of these bullets.
Okay, you have one. Cool.
But
One of
why?
Gaspard's bullets can
Why
do
are
that?
you doing this to me?
Is that why they're red?
Shut up. Unless you'd like a hole in your head. In that case, keep talking. There you go. And now, I have a special lesson for you. This is true fear. And this. Forget your homeland. Abandon all attachment to it. Just live for the people who are important to you.
Wait!
It's not the worst lesson in the world. But obviously
This
this
is your
shot
death.
really doesn't work.
Alright. His memories should be good and buried. I'm sorry about this, kid.
And or it did work and Hugo only got the wrong parts of his memory back. Brad, am I thinking this guy?
Gaspard.
She said Gaspard and Agnes. She was talking about them. And she looked up into the sky. Okay. Oh, still 18 parts in this track.
Where did...
Okay, we're back here. This is where I want to be. Alright, we actually got to where the story goes.
We don't appear to be too far from the site of the
I
ceremony.
assume we're playing as Hugo, which
Do
I
you know what
don't want to
happened,
do, but whatever.
Don't take me for a fool. I'm not giving you intel just like that. Why was I dragged into the warp in the first place? This isn't like Habakiri. As a Federation soldier, I'll...
Do you think you can stand a chance against us now?
That doesn't matter. This is a matter of my pride as a knight.
I admire your resolve. You would make a fine dining partner.
Alexandra.
Or just stop
He'll
talking
lose
about
his
food.
nerve if you say such things.
Really?
No. Never mind.
This white mutt really can't read the room.
Shut up, Grimalkin! I don't want to hear that from you.
I'm starting to feel like avoiding this confrontation.
Bro, he goes immediately like, this is too weird for me. You people are fucking nuts. I didn't expect
You're
him
one
to
of the
be as
alphas,
goofy as
the White Wolf, right?
my student friends.
There's no need to be alarmed. I know it's difficult under these circumstances, but I'm not about to backstab the very man who saved my life.
You seem to have a strong sense of justice, even when it comes to your enemies.
You think so? Isn't it natural to be grateful? If any trouble were to befall you, I would naturally strive to help.
Really?
Is that so strange?
No. I just didn't expect to hear it from
Crazy
you.
how all this stuff can happen, but in the future and like the anime and shit, no one ever brings any of this up.
Well, if you're
I
going,
mean, they
you
couldn't
should make
because they
haste.
wanted to keep this part of the
I'm
story
too
secret
tired
until
to
this
keep this
point,
up,
but at the
so
same
I'm
time, it's a
off.
little unrealistic.
Any complaints,
But
August?
I don't mind.
Do as you please.
You certainly haven't changed. Are there a lot of people like you in the Empire?
What do you mean? There are hardly any women as beautiful as me.
What I'm asking is if many Imperial soldiers act like you.
You're a curious little fellow, aren't you? Well, no. Aside from those here, there's also Bastion, a straight-laced airhead.
Are you talking about the Black Wolf? That's a bit harsh.
In terms of younger soldiers of note like yourself, there's the screw-up second lieutenant and the barbaric bird
Just
boy. If you
drop,
find
name drop
yourself in the
every
Empire,
single
be sure to
significant
befriend them,
Empire
okay?
character.
The more I learn about it, the stranger the Empire seems. Though the same could probably be said about Edis Academy.
Seeing
Now
both
then, I'll be
signs of
going.
just their own cast of
Bye-bye.
wacky characters, and that's we're supposed to be drawing connections the whole time. Because we know that no side is more righteous than the other. except for
Actually,
the
this
fact
is
the Federation is
Anomaly.
totally more evil.
I know we're not going to
Just
get
that the
along right
characters
away,
themselves are cool.
but the fact is, we share the same goal right now. We all want to return to the memorial spot. As soon as possible, do we not?
Huh? I know I want to go meet up with Leo and the others. But why do you want to go back? You already failed to kill the Vicar.
Well, my main motive is to challenge her to a rematch.
What? Didn't you just get massively overpowered by her? I mean, you were almost beheaded, right?
A close call indeed, Hugo. Thank you for saving my life.
I did it for Leo, not you, but that's not the point. Even after that devastating defeat, you want to challenge her again?
I suspect that she'll be worn out from that last attack. In fact, this might be the best chance I'll get.
Is that so?
One can only hope. Out here praying for August's success.
So what will you do now? Will you come with us?
August, earlier you said that this is the best chance you'll get. Aren't you afraid the Vicar will completely overwhelm you?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. But beyond this obstacle, I see hope. I just have to reach out and seize it.
Hope beyond the obstacle.
Don't be fooled.
Hmm?
He may hide it behind poetic words, but if you ask me, he takes a morbid pleasure from
Can
gambling with his
justify your
life.
resolve with the ends, not the means,
That's not
is what
very
August is
nice.
trying to say. Which is,
It's
of course, the
true.
flaw with August's
Can you
philosophy,
even
because
count
even
the
though his
number of
ends are
times
very
you've nearly
good,
gotten us
that
killed?
his methods are what
I
are
think
fucked
it's
up
best
about
if we
him
focus on the
as a
future.
character. Well,
I'll be
Hugo
counting
himself
on it,
is
Sandra.
going to try to find a way to
I
ride that
can't
line.
believe you.
I think
And I
I get the
assume
gist of it.
all other
Fine, I'll
main
accompany
characters
you
will
to the
follow
ceremony
suit.
site. You
Just
piqued my
find
interest
that
in the consequences
middle
of
of the
reckless
road
gambling.
righteous path.
Is that so? Well,
You don't
I'm on.
just think about your means,
Here's
and
hoping
you
this
don't
trip
just
is
think
safe
about your
and
ends.
quick.
Agreed. Let's move. If we cross this forest, we'll get back to the village eventually.
Are you interested in hearing our endgame?
Hear what?
The plan is to assassinate the Vicar, as I told you earlier. I can't help but sense that you're conflicted about that. Rather than condemning the plan on moral grounds, you question its chance of succeeding.
This is why I don't like you.
Tell me about it.
Come now. Right. Thank you.
Unfortunate.
I guess he knows that you yourself would probably like her to be dead after what has happened. God, I hate playing as Hugo so much. Look how slow the attack speed is. Tap. Boom. It's like almost like, it's like a second and a half, I think.
Can I ask you something?
Yes?
From whatever information you have, do you think that what happened to Lassant had anything to do with the Empire?
Well, this is very direct.
I think we're well past beating around the bush.
You're not wrong. Well, I guess this is as good a time as any. I'll tell you everything I've learned about it as Chancellor.
Huh?
You seem shocked.
Everything you've learned seems like a lot is all.
Given the circumstances, I think you're owed that much.
August? This will be useful.
August really do be one of the only few real ones in this game.
Bring it on!
The only one who's not a fake ass bitch.
What's this?
They seem awfully agitated.
Must be
I
because
wanted
of
to
that explosion
block
earlier.
with the counter slow.
When Leo received the surplus of mana from the Vicar, crossed swords with Hugo, who resisted her blessing, they caused a mana disturbance in this area.
Wait, that explosion was our fault?
Don't hesitate now. That won't help it. Let's take care of this together, you. We'll talk after.
Roger
I
that.
couldn't block that because
Hey, come. What now?
that's the problem when like you're trying to always.
This is what I believe to be
Oh, I didn't
just.
equip the other Mystic guy. Wait, I'm stupid. Did I even get Hugo's other Mystic guy? I feel like I did.
Bring it on. This. Come.
Maybe I didn't.
Come. The end has come.
Hugo's all about his parries, so you try to block an attack, and then he does the spin attack into weak parry, make it a perfect parry, which is timing is like far too tight in my opinion. You negate all damage and like dash forward with a strong attack. But either way,
Looks like we
like, the
managed to
timing's
fight
so
them
strict
off.
you're almost never gonna get it.
Every time I
because of
join you on a mission, it ends up like this.
Like, and if you're just waiting around for the enemy to
Is that
attack,
so?
you're as well. That's
About
also
what
an
you said
issue with
earlier,
it.
August.
And,
If you
and so
reveal
because you
everything
actually
know
want
to
to
me,
kill the enemy, you're going to be
I'm
using your
prepared to
normal
return the
attack speed.
favor.
Normal attacks have so much lag
I think
that
that's the
then
best way to help
it's harder
Leo
to
and Cyril.
cancel them into a block,
Why
which
would
they
it help them?
technically increased
I guess
the
I might
window
as well tell
for,
you now.
or made the cancel easier, but it doesn't
like to
feel like
defect
it's
with the
that
two of them.
significant. Like, they should have buffed
Your
it further
what?
than they did.
This will surely be a
If
meaningful
they really want to keep
conversation.
his basic attack so slow to further emphasize his blocking playstyle. But then his blocking doesn't even negate as much damage as I feel like it should.
Why would you defect?
Put simply, I can no longer trust the Federation. That's it.
A rather unexpected turn of events. I didn't sense that level of distrust when we met before.
It wasn't always like this. Something changed. Some memories from my childhood have come back to me.
From your childhood.
I was saying, Hugo's counterattack is also like very small and like weaker than I feel like it should be. Further making me feel like he's just an overall very weak character.
Specifically from the day our home was destroyed.
I see.
Nothing about him is fun to
But
do.
I still don't understand.
Like, even landing a
How
perfect
does that
parry most of the time
connect
it's
to
going to
your
be by
distrust of
accident,
the
so it's not like
Federation?
satisfying.
Well,
Because it's not like it one-shots anything like Amelie is. Fucking shit.
Far too careless.
Like, Anna Maria's like not even about parrying, but her parry is a million times more fun than Hugo.
What now?
Like, she just does his playstyle but better. The only thing is she doesn't negate any damage at all, so it's a lot riskier to do. But the return is so much higher that it's worth taking the damage. But Hugo, it's like you feel like you're forced to block everything, but then if you do, you're never negating enough damage. Even though you're taking less, you're still gonna probably die pretty quickly if you're just doing counter attacks. So you still want to like basic attack and dodge all the time, but then you're not dealing enough damage. So you go for a perfect parry and then you eat shit and die. Like, I can't imagine trying to fight a raid boss with this character. It's probably absolutely miserable.
Didn't you? It wasn't the Imperial army that destroyed Lasant.
Like, unless you're like somehow perfect parrying literally everything and then just like just like styling on the boss and like showing off to everyone else in the raid party, you're probably gonna be the one who dies the most and or does the least damage.
Just dressed up like Imperials.
So you witnessed it as a child, but forgot until recently.
It's more like my memories were sealed by fear. By our instructor, Lisette Renee. Who threatened me after I found out the truth.
And that's why you're thinking of defecting.
Come.
I mean, all of these are really good reasons to defect. If only he would, like, talk to his friends about it.
Got me some treasure.
Like, be a human being about this entire situation. And not just ignore Leo and Celia's feelings.
There will be nothing left. How's that?
Come now! How's that?
Take this time to reflect. Take this! This hits the spot. And another. The end has come. Take this!
I tapped as soon as I saw the bull, but as soon as I saw him getting close, I tried to stop for a block, but then my attack just comes out beforehand. So you can cancel end lag of attacks with blocking, but you can never cancel startup of attacks with blocking, which is what I feel like they needed to make it.
I didn't understand the Federation's intentions, but after what the Vicar did today, I'm convinced. The tragedy of Lasant isn't just a thing of the past. Even now, I can't help but feel like a cloud of malice is closing in on our future.
Hugo really is the smartest person in the room.
That's why I need you to confirm this for me. Was the Empire involved in the tragedy of Lasant?
It wasn't. There is no documentation of the raid or any trace of a cover-up. At least not in the military records I referenced. Given my office, you may not trust me when I say this, but I am all but certain that the Empire had nothing to do with it.
Is that so?
Yeah, August knows what it's like to have your hometown destroyed by your own country, so he wouldn't lie about that.
No, it's not that. It's just... I'm not sure what to believe anymore.
I understand where you're coming from. This is as far as I can possibly go to convince you of my sincerity.
What is that?
This hair clip belonged to my daughter.
He just carries that with him at all times. I thought he left that in his office.
Wait, you mean... August?
This is what I have to say to you, Hugo Simon. The Empire had no involvement whatsoever in the events that occurred at Lasant. I swear this not on my position or my faith, or my homeland, but on my dearest treasure. I swear it on the only thing I have left.
That's quite a fucking swear.
I've given you the very best I can offer. Will it suffice?
Yes. Yes. I want... No. I do. believe.
Well, that is very good to hear.
Hey, August. About what you just
Did
said.
Alexandra really not know August's
Anyway,
like backstory?
It's about time the three of us get going.
Does she
wouldn't you
just
say?
really think he just left the military for like
Right.
8 years for no reason? Or like 5 years, however old his daughter was?
Defecting to the Empire.
Do you really think that was like just for no reason? Or did she not know him until after he came back? I feel like they said they met at the academy.
If I might ask, what
Bro, can my footage not
Leo
go on?
produced earlier?
I'm not sure I understand it either. Sorry.
Take that. There. And another.
All I can say is that it felt pretty unsettling. I'm not sure how to put it into words.
I might be able to assist you with that.
August?
Do you know something?
No, but I'd be happy to share my speculation.
There will be nothing left.
Enemy attack him.
And another.
This is a real footage, yo.
Remember the Cascade of Beginnings?
It's a famous place in the land of Habakiri. A water. The mixture of mana there gives it special properties.
Precisely. It's a prime example of how when two types of mana meet, they can become more than the sum of their parts.
How's that?
Bro, I'm not even letting him try to crouch. He's a perfect carry by allies if he's hitting him.
Oh dear. More beasts.
August. Why did you bring up the Cascade?
Hard for me to believe that that really was
Face
Hugo's
value.
like first 5 stars of
The
cigar.
point
It's
is that the same
just the
thing
big AoE
is
one
happening
shot.
between Hugo
It's
and Leo.
strong, so I don't
Right.
complain,
Their
but
mana
it's like
blessings.
definitely the least flashy of any
That's
of
what
them.
caused the
I
bizarre
didn't equip
buildup?
that curse
That
to
explosion?
Hugo of all
I
characters.
believe so.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Right, we have other things to deal with
That's not what I meant.
Sure, I tried it out.
The end has come. How about this?
now. I was far too careless.
Yeah. The end has come. Take this.
Over for you!
Burn bright, my Embleo!
Blade.
Take that. There.
My blade.
There'll be nothing left.
My enemies make attacking, so I can actually
Now.
play the game.
Can you withstand this?
Attack, I have to block
Bring it
him.
on. There. The end has come. Bring it on.
And I still take 86
Turn
damage.
to dust.
Great. Should only take 20 damage.
And another.
That would be ideal.
Try. Take this.
What?
No, but 80 damage
Something
is
on your
still
mind,
like
Hugo?
fucking...
You really can't guess?
Like if I didn't block it, I probably would have taken like
I understand
several
that
hundred
the
damage, but
Cascade
at the
of
same time,
Beginnings
80 is still
formed
enough where
from
if
a
I block
confluence of
like
mana between two
just a
primordials.
few attacks, I would still feel like
Why
I get
is
hurt
it
by
that
them.
two kids from the countryside are creating a
And the
similar
damage...
Hey! Isn't there something only the two of you have in common?
Only me and Leo? I'm telling you, we're just two guys from the... You can't mean...
Take this.
The tragedy of Lasant. Everything points to that.
You're saying that surviving that caused me and Leo to undergo some kind of change?
It all comes together if you think of it that way.
But we weren't the only ones who... Wait, Celia wasn't in the village that day.
No, Celia specifically
that
wasn't in
means-
the village that day.
It's not just that you survived. It's what you went through.
Right.
Take that.
I mean, other people in this game have gone through horrible
Can you
things.
withstand this?
August went through something literally like the same thing, but he didn't get his powers until Laplace gave them to him. Laplace was one of the people who was burning down his village, and she still gave him the powers.
There will be nothing left. Yeah, take that. Yeah. Come. Oh, how's that? Come. There. Even so, judging by the chaos that unfolded when this happened last, I think it's best if you two avoid letting that power develop further.
I would have to agree with you there. Can't shake the feeling that we'd lose ourselves. Maybe it's best if he and I stay apart.
Why did this have to happen to you two? What in the world did the Federation do in Lassant?
We can't say for sure yet.
It's almost like they wanted at least one person to survive the tragedy, because they knew there'd be some sort of dumb bullshit anime MacGuffin power awoken there, and then they would indoctrinate them into the Night Academy. Thing is, all Hugo's childhood records don't mention him being in Lassant though, so it's weird that they knew about him.
The end has come.
This will be useful.
Maybe they only knew about him just because Hugo was partnered with Leo, but they both got into Blaze.
Hugo, does anything come to mind?
I don't know. But on that day, I had a weird dizzy spell and collapsed. When I came to, the village was burning.
I see.
I say that happened before the villagers was out. That's a weird perk. It still doesn't explain anything.
It's a federal patrol, and they have a stigmata night. Hide!
Why should I have to hide?
Can you explain why exactly you've been working with us?
Point taken. That's a siege weapon. Why did they bring it here?
There aren't any Imperial structures nearby, and this wasn't deployed against us. So perhaps their goal is...
Is this really necessary? You say she's a monster, but she doesn't look the part.
Monster?
Don't waste your breath. Hurry and get it set up.
I'm sorry, sir. But there are reports that she's surrounded by comatose civilians, as well as some Blaze cadets from the Night Academy.
And? So what?
Wait, are they
Every
trying
great
to
deed
kill
comes
the
with
Vicar too?
sacrifice.
They should let them do it.
Shoot Vicar Cannon along with every guard, student, and civilian
Bro, let
around
them
her.
shoot it.
What?
Well, well.
What? Why would federal soldiers want the Vicar?
Perhaps the Federation is
Less
less
is that
united
dude
than
in
it
the dumb
seems.
hat? Like how a
got nothing
faction
to
just as
worry
powerful
about.
as her religion?
We'll just chalk it up as another Imperial atrocity.
Hugo!
The
Oh.
Vicar's guards?
Oops.
Who are students? Civilians? What are you thinking?
You overheard us? That leaves us no choice. We'll have to take care of you first.
Hugo!
The Imperial Chancellor and the White Wolf?
Is that it, you two?
What are you talking about? As an Imperial soldier, I could never let such evil transpire.
The Empire also does whatever it takes to achieve its goals. So we won't blame them for that. But we won't serve as their scapegoat a second time.
The tragedy of Lassant need never be repeated. You got that right, August. Come.
Next time.
Take that. This hits the spot.
Play it.
There. What now? Sir.
I wasn't able to count on that art, but I could count on that.
Take this time to reflect. Sir. Spot careless.
I think the game could see that flash speed. Literally like one of 2 tanks in the game. But neither of them really reduce that much damage, so dodging is still your best option.
You go, Simon! If you're dissatisfied with the current state of the Federation, then side with us instead of the Empire! Together we'll turn the Federation on its head!
Do you hear yourself? If you think that you can sacrifice innocent lives for the greater good, then you're as irredeemable as your twisted ideology!
Well said. Those are the words of a knight, Hugo.
Thank you, Alexandra.
Take that!
Turn to dust! How about this? Unfortunate. There. Take this time to reflect.
Blade.
That was only a regular counter, that could have been a perfect counter.
Burn bright, my embleo!
Too bad.
Take this time to reflect.
Damn it! A noble revolution!
Revolution? Answer now. Who are you? Why would anyone in the Federation army want to take down the Vicar?
If you're siding with the Empire, I'm sure you already know the answer to that question.
Well...
That's... Hugo Simon, have you lost your mind? I can't believe you're aiding the Empire's terrorist plot!
What? What are you...
God damn, point of view really do be a
No!
bitch, doesn't it?
Stop! Our weapon isn't meant to be...
No, we have to take him out now! I get it. The weapon.
I said just take out the weapon, and then explain the situation calmly and collected.
Not on my watch!
No, take out the weapon, bro, not the dude. That just looks even worse. You know Leo's watching.
What's going on here?
Oh no, you didn't know apparently.
Leo.
You can see him from
What is this,
like
Hugo?
8 feet away.
What have you done? You just killed a Federation soldier with 2 Imperials by your side!
I had to. You don't understand.
You had to. But why?
Hey, let him explain, bruh. Leo, didn't you just have a conversation about believing your
I
friends?
see. Imperial dogs made you do their bidding. But you're safe now. Get over here, hurry!
No, you don't.
Hey, Hugo! Hurry up!
Sorry, Leo.
Are we gonna have the 1v1 Leo versus Hugo fight now? Because we're never gonna get one in the future like we were supposed to.
Hear what I have to say. It's about the tragedy of Lassant.
Something tells me this is the beginning of a very interesting story.
Bruh, get the fuck out of here.
Your Holiness, it's you!
I'm sorry, Leo. Her Holiness insisted, so... Hey, it's Hugo! You're okay! I'm so glad.
Oh, the Vicar.
Hugo? Don't mind me. Go right ahead with the story you're about to tell. Something to do with the tragedy of Lassant, was it?
Simon, so it's true then. You remember everything now.
Hugo? Hey, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, so you should like support him as
Leo.
that.
Please listen. The truth.
Lisette Renier, how are your students? And the gentleman from the shade.
Oh my god, it's literally an open, bold-faced threat.
Instructor, what are you?
Why attack Hugo? Please, stop this!
Why does he need the fucking colors behind him? Is it just gonna be Lisette in here? Oh, it's all three. That's
We have little choice. We must make our move. Take
right. I'll back him up.
Get
Where
ready.
these guns are
Why are we
fucking
fighting
annoying.
Hugo?
Try this. We have to follow orders for now. Okay, Leo?
Bro, get the fuck back here. If I think Hugo sucks, I can't chase anyone.
Please just listen to what I
That
have to
counter
say.
missed.
What are you talking about? You're the one who started this.
Well,
Lisette Renier, don't you think you're running your mouth a bit too much?
Bro, can we just kill her?
My apologies, Your
It's
Holiness.
so obvious.
You're the Vicar's puppet. Leo, Celia, please listen to me. The Federation is...
Now's not a good time.
Why not?
Have you forgotten what was done to you in the past?
If I tell the truth here, a certain someone will try to contain it.
Yes.
come now.
That would leave your friends in quite the predicament.
That's alright, I somehow got purpose for it.
Please wait.
I'm
You'll
just
get
gonna
another
ready for
chance.
Leo.
All right.
Hugo, please stop! What's gotten into you?
Celia,
That's the only one with a boss
believe me when I
fight.
say
He's
that
the
I
only one
don't
with a
want
fight.
this at all. Come back to the Federation.
Oh shit. Probably one more that I like to play.
Their reactions are slowing.
Yes, this is our chance to finish off the Vicar.
He's found himself quite the powerful vessel.
Silence. You gutted puppet of origin.
August? Are you okay?
What do you mean? I'm perfectly fine.
Possessed you are. I dare say you're past saving.
Enough nonsensical chatter. Let's settle this. Hugo, I hate to do this to you, but...
I'll lend you a hand.
Hugo, you would go that far?
I'm sorry, Leo. I don't mind if you hate me. But you deserve to hear the truth. And before I can tell you, I have to do this.
What are you talking about, Hugo?
Simon!
Vicar Cannon, prepare yourself!
Vicar, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine.
We can't handle this many.
I'm sorry to say this seems to be the end of the line, for the time being at least. Let us now put the recipient doorway plan into action, shall we?
Understood.
Listen carefully, Hugo. Our meeting point is located quite close to the village ceremony site.
Huh?
A long-distance transportation circle has been prepared in advance at that location. We plan to leap to safety from there, and if we are successful, we'll then retreat to the Empire.
Hold on. Why are you telling me this? We're on opposite sides.
I'm simply passing along some information. You may use it or not, however you see fit. Well then, I wish you the best of luck, Hugo Simon.
Protect Her Holiness!
Hugo.
Celia. Leo.
Hugo! I understand what it's like to feel unsure. All I can say is, follow the path you believe in. What else can you do?
Wait up, Hugo! I'm gonna go bring Hugo back. Make sure nothing happens to the Vicar.
Very interesting. We know that now that August's power comes because he's possessed by a demon, and we would have loved to have had that storyline explained further, but we'll never see that happen, I guess.
Close. Sorry I'm late.
Hugo.
It's good of you to come. We can't hold out much longer, so we'll have to leave soon.
August,
Hugo!
Leo. Listen, you two. Go on ahead.
Oh, this red versus green fight is happening way sooner than it should have,
circle
but
is
this is the
about
only
to
chance we're gonna
close,
get to have it, so I guess that's fine.
I only hope that you don't come to regret your decision.
Thanks.
The fight in the anime is really good. The anime is like really well animated and choreographed.
Leo?
The three of us! I thought we'd always be able to count on each other!
So did I. And yet, it's no good. If we're with the Federation, we can't.
What are you talking about? I don't get it. If we've got each other, there's no problem.
Right. If we're together, we can get through anything. Survive even the toughest war. And even if one of us went away, the other two could go on just fine. Yeah. Guess the answer's pretty clear. One of us has to set out on a solitary path to open up the future for all of us.
Yuka, if something's up, tell me.
Leo, after all this time, you're still such a naive idiot.
What?
That's the reason. You'll never be able to beat me. You're just a joke of a hero.
Yuka.
No, wait. Maybe I'm not being fair to you here. The real joke's your worthless grandma, who forced her worthless ideas on you.
Yeah, does he really have to go that far and make him hate him just so you can like go to the other side? Whoa, he's just starting with a mystic. Oh, that's his default, not even 5-star. Oh, I sure hope this music doesn't get me copyright straight. It's playing the song from the anime.
I'm just finally speaking my mind. I just think justice lies on the Empire's side.
I mean, it's pretty quiet, so if I keep talking, it'll probably be fine.
Don't give me that. Think that kind of reasoning's enough?
I mean, just be safe, maybe I'll turn it down a little.
I'm not the only one who deserves answers. Think of Celia.
I don't care if you accept my reason.
I really wish you could hear this voice acting, but the music had to ruin it. Maybe I can turn that off. Yeah, we can do that real quick.
Rangers!
How dare you? Easy.
Burn bright, my embleo!
Damn, Leo's got a lot of health. This really is the final
Can't
boss.
even express how good this is. Bring it on! Like this!
If only I was playing a fun character. If only I was playing Leo.
Damn it! Not yet. I feel invigorated.
Here I come.
I'm gonna try to parry you because it's how I'm supposed to play. So come on, attack me.
No.
Parry doesn't come out fast enough. I reacted to the red line. There we go. I did it before the red line shows up, so like, it's really risky to try to perfect parry. It has to be preemptive, it can't be reactionary. And then the damage I get is like nothing. Man, this is probably very epic if I was allowed to listen to this music.
How about this?
That's the same song that plays in the anime when they fight together, and it, like the fight is like really well synced to the music as well. It's like definitely the best scene in the anime.
Can't even express. Bring it on. Come on. Easy. Here, take this.
Oh wow, I actually made him stagger with that one.
Yeah, watch it.
I really wish I put that other sword so I could ruin damage on him. I should have checked that beforehand. But whatever.
This is the Foucault family way.
I could really just block that missing like crazy. Damn, we just blocked it in. We talked about before about the block not blocking enough, but blocking taking 400 from an ultimate is pretty significant.
How about this? You're not going anywhere. I won't let you.
Oh, I got a crit. That was.
Get it together. What happened to your noble dignity, Leo?
I don't need that. You're way more important.
Leo. This is what I believe to be just.
I don't care about my dignity.
Oh, now it's his actual 5-star missing guard. Actually
I'll do
switching
everything
it
in
up.
my power to bring you back.
Easy. How about this?
That's really cool.
Always been an
It's almost like there's a well made boss fight, and I'm just.
What am I going to do with you?
Come on. Back on my feet. Watch it. Easy. Here. Easy. Back on my feet.
Hugo was no fun to play as. His would be one of the better rival fights in the series.
Come on. Not yet.
I say the music's amazing, and everything right now. And like the circumstances of the fight are pretty good. There's a lot of ideas being fought about. Not just swinging swords or swinging their thoughts. That's what's always more important in a fight. That's what makes Dawn and Leon such a good fight. Even though Leon is just stubborn.
Bring it on. This is the Foucault family way.
Oh, I really messed up that block. I actually just got one-shotted by that because I was trying to be greedy and perfect block that last hit.
Heard from again.
The risk reward is really bad for that, actually. I sure hope he doesn't start at full health. If it takes me back to the main menu, he's definitely going to. Oh, that really sucks that I died there. Yeah, it's gonna start right at this cutscene.
You go.
This is the Foucault family way.
God damn it. He has so much
What
health.
is wrong with you?
He's gonna take way
Why
longer.
are you saying that?
Let's try that again.
You're making it sound like I've gone mad, Leo.
Easy.
I'm just finally speaking my mind. I just think justice lies on the Empire's side.
Here,
Can't
take
even
this.
guess how good this is.
Don't give me that. You think that kind of reasoning's enough? I'm not the only one who deserves answers. Think of Celia.
I don't care if you accept my reasoning or not. Oops, bring it on! Why should I? We're not related. We're complete strangers.
How dare you?
Bring it on!
Easy. How about this?
I'll carve my own path.
Oh, fuck it, I'm gonna have my own music in this fight. Let's see what I got. Yeah, this one's good.
Hey! Come on! Too slow! No! Not yet! Here I come! Here I come! Take that! Bring it on! Bring it on! Take this! Oh!
Very nice.
Take this! No! Back on my feet! Here! Damn it! Victory! Easy! How about this? Here I come! Now! This is what I believe to be just. I messed up! Let's try that again! You're not going anywhere! I won't let you! Here I come! Get it together. What happened to your noble dignity, Leo? I don't need that! You're way more important! Oops. Leo. No! I don't care about my dignity! I'll do everything in my power to bring you back! No! Bring it on! Oh, come on. You've always been an idiot. Shine, my Embleo! What am I going to do with you? Let's try that again! Now, bring it on! Roar! Take that! Oh, yeah! Come on! Easy!
Oh,
No!
going
Back on my feet! Too slow! Take that! Easy! Damn it! Bring it on! Back on my feet! Take that! Take that! Easy! Watch it!
Even if this was a regular Crossroads mission, not the finale.
This'll settle it!
Crossroads don't come with like, extra bonus missions. It's not like you would have gotten like a challenge or anything in this fight. This is just it.
This is what I believe to be just. This is the end, Leo. How about this? Take that!
Wow, okay, Bastion jump. What? Bro.
Bring it on!
That didn't kill him. There we go.
This isn't very noble.
Would have been sick if there's like a unique mystic art or cutscene or something.
Leo!
Sally. I'll ask you again. Come back with me, Hugo. I already said this once. But whatever's going on, you can tell us.
So, Leo, would you join me in abandoning the Federation for the Empire?
Well,
Oh? So much for your big talk. When it comes down to it, you can't do anything.
Alright. Fine then. You want me to do
You
something?
want me to do something? I'll cancel the game. Make it so that nothing ever happens. So that no one ever knows who's right or wrong.
Quite a tall order, though.
Hugo!
Well, hero, come on then. Time to finish things off.
Oh, neat. Hugo wins this. I think they mentioned that in the anime that Hugo won the first fight. And then they're fighting the anime and basically ends up as a tie.
That's you in a nutshell.
Or you could interpret it as Hugo barely winning.
Hugo. Hey, come on. Wake up, Hugo. It's okay. Just wait here. 'Cause I'll do whatever it takes to save you, Hugo.
You know what? You're still soft-hearted, Leo. Guess you always will be. That's why. I want to be the only one to get my hands dirty.
No, wait.
You...
Leo. Celia. With all of my heart, may the primordials be with you.
Hugo Simon. By my authority as the Imperial Chancellor, I hereby grant you Imperial citizenship, as well as full membership in the Imperial Army. I trust that you'll do your best to live up to the expectations of your Emperor and your people.
Sir, while the Federation's darkness yet lingers, I pledge to dedicate my life to your service. For the Shildlon Empire!
Or can we like see this image like clearly? Can you get rid of like this thumbs up shit? Oh. I kinda want to have that last splash screen. That'd be very nice. Guess not. I would have loved a screenshot of that. Oh, that's what the candy apple looks like. Disgusting. Anyway, can we do one last summon to send the game off? Oh, I didn't get it out. Okay, anyway. The most interesting outfits to try to get would either be Charles or Augustus. I guess I'm gonna go for Charles. Oh, well, didn't get it. Well, regardless, the adventurers get a power boost. Even though I don't have a 5-star outfit for Charles, I guess it's just gonna be fated to stay that way forever. Anyway, with the story over, we're gonna go right ahead and move on to the next part, which is rating each of the episode 2s as they came. Well, not really as they came, just in basic character order. Give us all one last reflection on each of them, as well as where the story probably should have gone, or at least was going to go on me. Let's get a little bit of quiet background music playing for this part. Okay, so starting off with, we're gonna go in order of Federation, Empire, then Adventurers, and we're gonna talk about each of the episode 2s specifically and how I felt each one went. See, can I zoom in on this? Okay, perfect. Alright, so starting with Leo, his episode 2 was about reflecting on his grandmother's lessons and all that, and further bringing out what he wants his idea of nobility to be. See, the actual events that happen in the chapter really are amazingly memorable themselves. It's more about the ideas that Leo walked away with, and I believe it took place before the final episode, so it was still while Hugo was with the Federation. We didn't really get an episode of Leo, or at least from Leo's perspective, after Hugo left, which is really a shame. I guess we only have the anime for that. But in terms of how I would actually rate it, I'd probably give it B, just the most middle of the road it can get, because while the actual events that happened weren't memorable themselves, the character development in it was genuine and was worthwhile. Okay, so Celia, on the other hand, I have a lot of gripes with this episode. This episode it's not even so much more the story content, but the gameplay of this episode really felt like it should have been what episode 1 Celia should have been, where essentially they walk you through and have you practice getting perfect shots, because that's Celia's whole gimmick. But all 4 parts of this episode were basically running the same route throughout the town and going to the same locations because of some gift scavenger hunt and or shopping center event or whatever, and then they have to chase down this beast that's really fast, and it just ends with Celia having to shoot it. At first she wouldn't shoot it because it's a cute little fox, but then she's reminded that regardless of how it looks, that it could be something bad, so she should kill it, just for this sense of like it could protect her friends, not even that it will, but the chance that it could have hurt her friends, that she should kill it. So it's literally just like, and like 2 hours of gameplay of walking around, not even like doing any fights, that just ends with you landing one perfect shot. And because of that, I can't give it like any higher than a D, even though like it does, I wouldn't say it tells you a lot, but it tells you like one very significant thing about Celia's character, about how she's like resolved that she would commit basically any atrocity she needed to if it meant protecting Leo and Hugo, which I believe served to hint at future events that would have happened if the story was to have continued, but we'll never know now, which is the unfortunate thing. Alright, Lizette. Now, Lizette episode 2 takes place like concurrently and immediately after Gaspard episode 1, where she raids the fort that he infiltrated, and then Lizette, along with Vanessa and Lucien, basically the three of them alone, take out an entire fort, and only Lizette knows that Gaspard was also there because she recognized his gunshots on a monster. The main purpose of this episode was to just show Lizette getting like jerked around by her superiors, and even though she really doesn't like what they do, she can't disobey them because they'll just threaten either her students or Gaspard. I mean, it's an idea that gets reiterated in the final episode, and because of how they did that, it makes this episode lose a little bit of credence on its own. But simply due to like the amount of character interaction in this episode, and like sort of the small moments where you learn about how Lizette and Gaspard are close, the way she can recognize him just by his gunshots and stuff like that. Those are the small details that make me put it above Celia's, because like it's like a similar amount, or it's not even like character development, but it's like learning about the characters. And I think that's very nice. Then Michelle episode 2. Michelle episode 2 is basically Michelle and Leo get one-on-one time on a mission to help a village gather herbs and fight monsters. It serves mostly to be about Leo and Michelle's relationship, and how they both kind of like romantically have feelings for each other, but neither one of them like will say it to the other. Like Leo doesn't even know he has them. Michelle, like, it's more or less confirmed that she likes Leo, but he's such like obviously shonen protagonist that she can't say anything because he's just an idiot about everything. And like she learns to sympathize with like his backstory and his grandmother, and like respects him because she grew up with her grandfather, and it's similar, and she finds similarities there. So I really like that, specifically the one-on-one character building. So it's I think it'll be probably, I'm gonna put it above Lizette, but maybe I'll put it in B2 later, but as of right now it's the top of C tier. Now Maxine. This episode was really fun. Like overall, just the gameplay was really varied, and even though Maxime himself isn't that like fun of a character to play as, everything that was going on just felt like such like an exciting side story, which is kind of what Maxime episode 1 was like. While not relevant, or not amazingly relevant to the greater plot overall, Maxime himself as a character is so like charming and likable that his little side adventures are so much fun to go on. And like there's even like a straight up rhythm game mini game in this episode where Maxime has to dance with someone, so that was a nice variety to see. pair that with like every other character involved, like Leo, Vanessa, Celia, all their their bad acting, and as they pretend to be villains to help Maxime get this, help a noblewoman to elope with her commoner boyfriend, like that. Because Maxime fell in love with the noblewoman himself, and when he figured out she loved someone else, all he wanted to do was help her, which was really cool. Just the amount of like most of it was comic relief, but it was like really good and like really remind me of like most like main Tales of games. So just for that fact alone, I gotta give it A tier, because even though it's not that relevant to the overall plot, the character interactions are like easily some of the best in the entire game, and it really felt like, other than the adventurous story, it was the closest it felt to like being part of like a traditional like console Tales of party, like just watching skit after skit of like a convoluted side quest. Really good stuff. Yelsi. This was again another one of those like side story type episodes where it was just about her gathering herbs to fix her squirrel friend, or like I guess like baby primordial beast thing that only she can see. His name is Toto. It had a tummy ache from food, so she had to fix it. That was the whole episode. Yelsi is a fine character and all, but just like, because she's just like so not fun to play as, because I don't know how they did this, but they made the spear character fear like the stubbiest character in the game, and even after the buffs that increase her range and attack power, she just didn't feel that much stronger, and is still, in my opinion, a bottom 2 character. So even like Yelsi works best as a side character in everyone else's stories, because like she always like has a good social skills and gets people to open up. But when she's the center of attention, it's like we don't learn anything we didn't already know about the character, and then the characters involved are just act as they do as side characters in everyone else's story. Just Michelle is helpful and helps her find the herbs and whatever, and Maxime's there because they want to ship Maxine and Yelsi sometimes. I think Maxime was there. He might not have even been there now, I remember. And the fact that I don't remember also leads to why this is a lower ranked episode. And that was all of the Federation ones that got released this cycle. We never got the Lucian episode 2, which is a shame, since Lucian's definitely one of the most interesting characters in the game. His probably would have been at least B tier, probably even A tier depending on the characters he interacted with, and that's just speculation because of how his episode 1 was. Anyway, Empire time. Alexandra, this was the first episode we got that was purely backstory, and it was really interesting because like the Alexandra that he presented here in this episode 2 is like really different from the one that we know in the more so present day scenarios. I mean, nothing's really present day because it jumps around time, but specifically in this backstory, her, a newly graduated soldier from the academy, like is like really eager to like go out and fight and doesn't really know the horrors of war yet, and because she's like just amazing at fighting, can take down 100 people no problem. She also doesn't, when she does start fighting, she doesn't understand why other people are always discouraged after battle. So like these two guys that like don't like that she's like all happy to go lucky the whole time and like doesn't understand their pain, try to trick her into taking impossible missions, but she just does it with a smile because she's that strong, and then she ends up helping them when they get into trouble, so they become friends. So it was very nice to see like Alexandra, who's usually like stoic about everything unless it involves food. Like it was cool to see this other side of her, and like even though and like we saw like some character development, even though it was technically like a prequel type thing. So that was really cool. And so I'm gonna put that in B tier right above Leo. As far as gameplay goes, Alexandra isn't necessarily the most fun person to play as because her her rapid combo is garbage, so you kind of just do her charge thrust every time. But seeing like Alexandra without being like under the influence of like August's presence and stuff was really cool to see. And her outfit there is also really good, but we're talking about that later when we rate everyone's outfits. Next is August. Alright, now this August episode 2, easy for the first S tier. This was the best of the backstory episodes because it's straight up the main motivation of the person who at the time was like set up to be like almost a villain, because like the episode 1's, bro, you don't necessarily like hate the Empire or Federation in any of the episode 1's because it's all really neutral and safe. August episode 2 is the first time you're really like, oh no, this is the first time you as the player feel like, oh, like you actually are on someone's side, and you're like, oh no, August is totally correct in everything he's been doing, and it's just his methods could be a little bit toned down. His backstory with his family, the interesting stuff with Lucien being his student and all, that's all really cool, and I would have loved to have seen further elaboration of that. I don't know, I'd have to check the chronology again, but I think Lucien episode 2 might have also been a backstory, or maybe Lucien episode 3. It would have said so in the chronology. I'll check that again later. But being able to see the events that happened in August episode 2 from Lucien's perspective a little bit more would have been very nice, and only heighten this scenario as well. The story of August, like his village and wife and child being destroyed by his own country, and then his resolve to like climb up in the military ranks and change the country from within, while at the same time killing everyone who caused it. We learn that he gets his immense power as a gift from Laplace, which it wasn't like fully explained, but in that episode finale we learned that power is like some demon or like possessing him or something that doesn't like Origin. But while it still doesn't explain exactly why Laplace has the power to give that power or whatever, it's still set up for what I assume would have been some really nice like twists and stuff later on. And Falk. Now if I'm being completely honest here, this episode is probably going to be C tier, just for the fact that it's about the Team Lawrence, which is always the most fun part of the Empire stories, is working with them, because the three of them, Amelie, Hugo, and Falk, just have like a great character dynamic. And while it's obviously supposed to mirror Leo, Celia, and Hugo, the characters are like distinct enough where while at the same time it's a very different thing, and it further cements the idea that both sides of the conflict have the same type of people on both sides, and you can't really side with one over the other, except episode finale literally just tells you about how the Federation's definitely the evil one and you should not like them, but whatever. The line would have probably got further blurred if the game went along, but we're not gonna get that. And so Team Lawrence alone puts it above Lizette, but because the focus of the episode was also about a child Falk knew from his time growing up on the streets, it's not going to go any higher than Michelle's, because I really didn't like that child character. And even though it was cool to see Falk's backstory about like his old mercenary squad and then him getting revenge on, or not even really revenge, but like taking out the people who stole the name of that squad, and like, I don't know, like besmirching the memory of his friend. That was all really cool, and probably the most noble thing we've seen Falk himself do. And then we got the interaction with Team Lawrence. You know, actually, now that I'm talking about it, I'm actually gonna put it above Michelle's episode too. If it wasn't for that fucking child whose name I can't remember, Falk would probably get into B tier. Unfortunate, children have to ruin everything. Anyway, what's next? Hugo. Hugo episode 2. It was the last episode released before the finale, so I talked about it a lot when I was playing the finale. In this episode, Hugo isn't actually with Team Lawrence, so that obviously knocks it down with it for a tier. Instead, he's appointed a Lieutenant Alpha, which is like an apprentice Alpha, so he's would have been assigned to like shadow each Alpha one at a time. In this episode specifically, he shadows Bastion, and I mentioned before how he talks about how Bastion's sword style mimics or reminds him of Leo's sword style. In an episode finale, we learn that Leo was actually taught how to fight by Bastion, even though he didn't know who he was. So there was that interesting connection to draw there, if you remember those details. And then that's also the first time we see Hugo try to kill Lizette on sight. And despite how not fun it is to play as Hugo, like all the story content alone puts it easily. I gotta give it B tier just for story relevance alone. Story relevance is definitely gonna be one of the main deciding factors. Like Hugo and Bastion, their dynamics really good as well. So like we learn a lot about Bastion himself too, and like why he fights, and the lessons he teaches Hugo are all very like good. He teaches him to like be more confident in himself and like actually see how strong he is and stuff like that. But at the same time, like doing what he needs to do and not overthinking anything. Alright. And unfortunately, that's all the Empire ones we got this cycle. We didn't get Bastion, Laplace, or Gaspard. 3 whole characters didn't get their episode. Which is unfortunate, since there's some of the more mysterious characters in the game. Bastion mysterious, obviously, just because he's very powerful, and we want to know like how he got that power, and how, even though he doesn't, we love to see him like get more emotions and like think more for himself instead of just following orders as the game story progressed. But unfortunately, we won't be able to see that. And Laplace, her episode 1 revealing to us that she is some sort of being that not only can just grant other people immense power for no reason, she also like constantly switches what body she's in. Like the body she's currently in isn't like her first body. She's like a really old being that constantly switches body, whether it's like there's like robot bodies or like homunculus bodies or something. We don't exactly know, but in her episode we saw her, she took Bastion to a cave to mine for an ore that would have created an explosion strong enough to kill her, because she was looking for a way that she could finally die. But we never learned why she wants to die or what her powers exactly are. So she's just left as the most mysterious and also like the most key linchpin character in the game, but we're never going to learn anything more about that. And Gaspard, which is, we never, even though he's part of the Empire, we never even got to play an episode where he does a mission for the Empire. His episode 1 was technically a mission for the Federation, but even though the game classifies him as one of the Empire characters, I mean, we know he works for August in other episodes, but we never actually got to see what any of that looked like. Gaspard himself like has connections to all sides of the conflict, including the adventurers, and we learned in episode final that we learned it a little in Liddy episode 1, that he's the one that set up the meeting between Ed and Liddy for them to meet and like start the adventurer quest line, because chances are Liddy told Gaspard about how she found out the war was gonna end, and then he himself is putting in some sort of like secret effort to help like prevent the world from ending, basically, even though Liddy herself wants the world to end. Gaspard probably knew that by getting her to meet up with Ed, that it wouldn't that they'd be able to prevent it. And seeing more of Gaspard's like behind the scenes actions in everyone else's stories would probably reveal a lot of information. It's a shame we didn't get more of that. Okay. Anomaly, episode 2. Now we're gonna get the bias out of the way and just say I think the adventures are the best story in the game. Obviously, that it's supposed to be like the main linear plot of the game, the way it's structured and everything. And Anna Maria is set up as the main heroine of that side of the conflict, where she starts off as a sheltered character and then has to learn the way the world works from those she runs into. And while there's constant misunderstandings and everything, and lots of comic relief that comes out of it, her and her servant Charles are slowly learning how real life works, and that adventure isn't the amazing thing she read about in storybooks, and it's actually dangerous and people die and whatnot. And the other characters like Ed and Raoul teach her that. And her episode 2 follows after Charles' episode 1, where after they actually speak to the first of the primordials, they set off to go to the next area, and her chapter consists of everyone gathering supplies in town and then going off to rescue a child who got lost in the woods. And and the most significant thing about the episode is Charles isn't escorting her, so we get to see her learn things on her own without Charles just saying what things are without actually knowing, and her taking his word for it. She's actually learning things on her own, learning things about the world and everything, and also creating some fun comedic situations with the rest of the adventurers. And for all those reasons, it's going to be an S tier. Well, technically not as much significant actual plot happened, because it was just set up for the next part of the adventure story. All the character interactions and her growth and learning specifically can put it in an S tier, because again, the adventurers are the closest thing you got to if this game was a console game and they release this on PS4 or something, you would be playing as the party of 6 adventurers easily. They feel that way, and every part of their journey feels like the early the opening 10 hours of any other Tales game. And let's see. Actually, we're going to talk about Raoul episode 2 before we talk about Ed episode 2, because Raoul's is the one that happens immediately after Anna Maria's. And I mean, it's pretty obvious, but just for posterity's sake, I'm just going to quickly mention again that Anna Maria is the daughter of the Emperor of the Empire, who had to run away from home the day that August had the Emperor killed to make himself Emperor, and Laplace was supposed to kill her, but she managed to escape. So she doesn't even really understand what's going on or what anything happened, but she's just going with the flow because she wants to go on an adventure. But she will slowly start to realize the gravity of everything going on around her. Anyway, back to Raoul. Raoul is it starts off with them leaving that town that they were in before, the capital of the Federation, and it's and this episode takes place while they're on the road on their way to the next town. And it starts with a pretty like comedic situation where it's like Raul, who's like always been constantly teased by all the younger people in the party, specifically Charles, who's just a dickhead to him for no reason. Like Raul is able to like use his perspective as the oldest person in the bunch, like give a lot of like advice to everyone around him. And, like there's this one it's sort of a comedic scene where like they go the first night they camp out. Marie and Charles don't know that they have to keep watch with everyone else, so instead Raul, Ed, and Lydia are up all night protecting the camp from beasts, because as it stands, other than Ed, Raul is the most capable fighter in the party of adventurers, or at least has like the most experience. And while he is like always very vague about his backstory, he just says he's an archaeologist, but everyone around him's like, bro, you're way too good with that spear to have just been an archaeologist. What's your deal? He always like avoids the question. And like throughout the episode, as they explore some ruins while in a cave, while like they're killing time, they accidentally like fight a monster and whatnot, and a little boss fight. And like as soon as they get to the next town, Raul immediately like is like become like almost out of nowhere just like becomes this really like suspicious character. It seems like everything he's doing has like some sort of hidden meaning behind it. It's like he's working for someone. It's like he's getting messages from mysterious people, and he's like talking weird. It just like kind of comes out of nowhere at the end of his episode, which is really strange. But I imagine there would have been a lot of significance around it if it had kept going. And pair that with the fact that Raul went from being like a bottom 5 character in the game to getting like probably the best set of buffs any character who got in episode 2 got, giving him entirely new attacks, removing his stamina bar in general, and increasing his strength. I'm either gonna put Raul he's either gonna be the top of A or the bottom of S. We'll see how I feel after this all ends. For now, we're gonna go top of A tier. Alright, now episode Ed then picks up immediately after where Raul's left off, where they get to that next town, and almost just like immediately out of nowhere, just like at the end of the last episode, Raul just kind of starts acting like a dick towards Edward specifically, like starts like questioning him on everything and stuff, and like is all passive aggressive the whole time. Well, because when they first get to town, like it's just like immediately under attack by monsters, so Edward wants to help everyone, and Raul starts like asking him why he wants to help everyone and stuff, and Ed's just like, oh, because they might pay us or something. But Raul knows that Ed is just like, he's a generic like shonen hero guy. He's like soft-hearted whenever he wants to help people, just like you found out in episode final when Hugo and Lizette saw Edward, and they drew the same conclusion, because he does a similar thing in episode 2 where instead of just defending the town from monsters, he decides to go look for the source of them and like get rid of them from there. Like couple that with with the flashbacks of him as a child in Miyasui, and like the stuff his father told him about the crystal and like his responsibility as king. He was really being set up as a very like traditional tales of like protagonists where he would have his tragic backstory, but then be able to rise above it using the lessons he learned from it. And while he, basically, essentially, his character arc was gonna be something along the lines of, if I had to guess, like since he wasn't old enough nor or had the power to save his own country when it came under attack, then he would do his best to help other people, and that's most of the reason probably why he wants to help Lydia out as much as he does, is because he sympathizes with her being a child and whatnot. And while this is, and this, out of all the adventure episodes we had this cycle, it definitely had the most progression of their plot. So it's definitely gonna be the best of those ones, because it still had just as much equal interaction. They even had like this little moment in the caves where, like, even though she was told not to follow him, Anna Maria followed Edward into the cave because Edward went to a mine to save him. Miner who may or may not have already been killed by monsters, and he didn't want Anna Maria to come with him because, like, he didn't know if she could handle death and disappointment and whatnot. So after he finds out that she like snuck along with him, he then goes on like this big speech about like how life's not like what she knows in storybooks, and like keeps asking her if she's like ready for like the cruel realities of the world and whatnot. And it's like, and like the connections between the two characters, and like they like it was kind of unexpected, but Anna Marie and Edward end up having like really good chemistry in this episode, because not only are they both like, one's a prince of a country that was killed and like basically destroyed, and like his father was killed. Anna Marie is the princess of a country, and like, and her father was killed as well. So like they're drawing those parallels between the two of them, and how Ed has already gone through like much of the worst things, and he wants to teach Anna Maria the lessons he's learned from that. And they even have this little moment where he saves her from a rock fall, and like when he's holding her in his arms, she goes, "Oh my," and blushes a little bit. So who knows, maybe they were going to try to get you to ship the two characters. I like the chemistry in that episode alone was enough to maybe push that, but we definitely would have needed more development on that if you wanted to sell me on the idea of these two characters getting together. But I don't know. On their own, they're both the best two characters in the game, but that doesn't necessarily always mean great things. But in this case, it did for the most part. And where does episode final stack up to all of this? I mean, we just played it all. I don't really have to reiterate what happened all there. Well, I can neither confirm nor deny whether the content of this episode would have been the exact same if it was released as Crossroad episode 2, as it probably originally was going to, or how much they like rewrote it to be episode final or whatever after they heard they were being canceled. So there's a lot of loose ends in here that get tied up, and a lot more loose ends that spring up because of that, and the curse of the story never being continued is that all the setup in this episode specifically is lost. But everything about Hugo's character that Hugo episode 2 already like brought up to like an astounding degree, because Hugo episode 1 wasn't necessarily that like impressive, or rather I myself didn't care about Hugo that much as a character up to that point. But after Hugo episode 2 and Hugo episode final, it really brought him into light as his own his own protagonist and like main character of his story. It's like something we didn't get to really see Leo do yet. Like as much as I love Leo, like he really hasn't he never really got his chance to shine as like the hero of the story yet or anything. Well, Hugo hasn't necessarily shined. He's been set up to. And up until like these two episodes, specifically episode Hugo 2 and episode Final, for the most part I was really only significantly like caring about the adventurous storyline, but these episodes really made me care about the Empire as well, and Hugo himself is really being set up to be like as good a as an unequal protagonist with what Edward would have been set up with. So I mean, if you've ever seen like the promotional art for the game, there's like this one in particular where it's like Leo, Hugo, and Edward all together. So like if the game was able to go on and like each of their storylines were to eventually meet up at one point, and all three of these protagonists were probably going to be the final party to like that would all join forces to fight whichever evil god or two you would probably have to fight at the end. And would have been really cool to see that. And this episode, just as like amazing as it is, it's really like a bittersweet feeling because it just leaves me wanting even more. It satisfied some of the things we were missing, but in the end it just gave us more to hope for. And I'm just like for the rest of my days, my subconscious is just gonna be racking around how the story would have played out, creating my own headcanons and stuff that would never be as good as probably what the writers would have eventually made. But nah, easily fittingly, this final episode was probably the best episode like overall that ever came out for the entire game. They just gave you so much to like chew on, and like even though like the gameplay sections themselves, like apart from the Leo section, weren't very fun to play because the character you didn't get to play as any of the characters I personally find fun, and playing as Hugo for that final fight made sense because he's the one that wins it and he's the one being set up as the big protagonist. I myself, even if the cutscene said that I lost, would have preferred to fight as Leo, but that's just me. And the fight, playing the fucking main theme from the anime, Answer by Frederick is the name of that song, and that was just really hype, and it's like easily can be up there with like other Tales of Rivals fights, even though like what usually would have been saved like for towards the end of a game is put into what feels like the beginning of a game, but in reality ends up being the sad end of this game, and it's really unfortunate. Anyway, I think that's good. Let me look over this one more time and see how I feel about this. No, I think this is about right. Yeah, we explained everything. This is my final tier list for the episode 2s of Luminaria. So with that said, we can move on to our next subject, which is going to be, we're going to talk about character gameplay. We're going to talk about which characters were the most. It's going to be a mix. We're going to do one tier list based on like how fun they are, which is basically like which is almost synonymous with like how good they are against basic enemies, which is not raid bosses. We're going to move on to, we'll do that. Oh, that should not be on that monitor. Right. So we're gonna. I didn't take the time to make like a custom setup for this. So we're just gonna use a tier maker for this next part. I don't have that set up for the right thing. Never mind. I gotta switch there. Okay. I already know we're gonna need probably... We're gonna definitely need an F tier for this. Just saying. It's not fun. In fact, I'm just gonna name it not fun. Actually, this one can be not fun, and this one can be why. Like characters that are like feel so bad to play, you might as well like not even ever play them. Like, why would you ever pick this character? Alright, sort of. One sec. This list here has everyone in alphabetical order, so we're just gonna go with that. As we talk about like how this is gonna be like how fun each character is, like yeah, PvE, not counting how effective they are in raids, but this is gonna be like how good it feels to fight the regular small enemies with each character. And so as we talk about each character, I'm going to quickly do a training camp with each of them so we can reiterate their gameplay style and like the theory behind how they should be played and whether it's intuitive or not. Then we talk about like which characters I feel are like either follow through best with like the theory behind them and or are effective and feel and are fun to play. While a lot of this is gonna be like my personal opinion because I like other playstyles above others. I do feel like the fact that I'm able to like get certain use or have certain challenges with using other characters that like it's probably a universal feeling that other players have experienced. Well, I'm not gonna say quote me on that. I feel like it's an applicable point of view. Alright, so as I load the game back up, let's get started with the first of the level up camps we're gonna do. Now, interesting enough, they actually for the final update gave us like three entirely new level up camps, which implies they were gonna give us new ones in the future that they just gave us now. Alright, so we're just gonna go in alphabetical order. Then we're gonna go with Alexandra first. Now, Alexandra is she's a sword character, and her episode 1 seemed to imply that she was gonna be primarily that most of her fights were gonna be like sort of the larger scale battles, like you saw with the Leo section of episode final, where there's like killing hundreds of people in like a big open area, which at least I felt was gonna be the theory of her gameplay because of like the way her charge thrust works. Her rapid combo doesn't deal a ton of damage and is kind of slow, but she's able to like move a great distance while dealing a lot of damage at the same time to a great number of enemies. So for those almost Muso type sections, I felt like that was going to be exclusively what her episodes were going to be like. But her episode 2 actually wasn't like that, which honestly felt a little weird. But regardless, you can see here that she excels in hitting a large number of enemies at a time and moving a vast distance while doing so. She has 3 separate charges to her thrust, each one being stronger and going a more distance than the other. if I had one complaint about this character, it's that the most optimal thing to do is to just only do these thrusts and nothing else. The rapid combo really serves almost no purpose. It has such like low range, and the damage isn't like that much significant since there's not a guaranteed stagger on any of the hits. And then she just gets the standard sword arts that everyone else gets. Or rather, just Lucian and Hugo have access to.
Take that! Don't mess with her, I go. Take that!
Well, she's not my favorite character to play as. She's definitely a lot more fun than many of the other characters that are in the game. She's probably like the best person to start off with because she's probably as middle of the road as you can get between fun and not fun, because of like, because she's one of those simple and effective, but unlike Leo, it's not like as satisfying because her hits aren't like as impactful, or like you feel like you're like what you're doing is really like your own decision. Because here it's literally just charge thrust after charge thrust after charge thrust, and it's like, what else am I supposed to do? It's working. Why stop and do the thing that's riskier? Characters who are able to avoid damage and to shout a lot of it at the same time are going to be the most effective. But you also want them to like feel like you have a lot of input on what's happening for them to be fun. So that's where you get like thing of like most ranged characters in the game are pretty effective, but because their gameplay feels very automated, it's not very fun for me at least. Because even though they're safe and can deal a lot of damage from far away outside the enemy's range, it doesn't really feel like I'm really playing the game. Like everyone who plays the character is gonna be playing them the exact same way. And we got this Mystic Art. It's her first 5-star Mystic Art, which I vastly prefer to her second 5-star Mystic Art, because it just zooms around and hits every enemy really fast, and because the game's already auto-targeting, it can hit a lot more enemies than something like Hugo's Mystic Art, which is just a small circle around him, which is able to just cover a large distance and hit many enemies at once with good attack power. These new level up camps also all end with a boss. Probably gonna die before beating him, but it's interesting to see. Chances are they're probably gonna provide more XP than the ones we had, because before you were only gonna, the pre-existing level up camps only give you basically one level up per time you did it at the higher levels. So if you want to get 2 level ups, you would have to play it like at least 2 times. So these new ones were probably gonna provide more by the looks of it. Oh, there we clear now. It's not like there's any point in getting an achievement for it, but it's nice. Alright, and with that, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate what I said before about Alexandra being like very middle of the road. The question is whether she's either bottom of B or top of C, in my opinion. And just looking at the characters here for a brief second, I think C is probably gonna be the best place to put her. Alright. Then moving on is gonna be now Amelie. Now, at first, before this later update, I would have said that this character was very, very straightforward, and there wasn't much to talk about with her. But this latest update basically gave us an entirely new character in the form of Amelie's new 5-star outfit for her child form, because her episode 2 was going to be a backstory episode for her. But equipping that literally gives you an entirely different moveset which is really interesting. And so we're gonna. They don't have a spot for it here, but I'm gonna consider them two separate characters when talking about their placement here. Let's see, just give me 1 second. I can make an icon for that really quick. Yeah. I'll be able to use this in a minute when we talk about the tier list placement. Cool. Alright, so we're going to start with regular Amelie first, though. And we're going to say, if there's one thing that defines her playstyle, it's RNG. Like you're going to see here, she's got... Oh. Shit. There we go. We're going to see that she has... she's a spear user, so she's gonna have, but she doesn't stab with her spear, she swings it, so she's gonna have these very wide area attacks that deal that are pretty slow but deal a decent amount of damage, well, but not crazy amounts of damage. And then you can and then you can do her hold attack instead of a rapid combo, which is where she does a spin, or she does like an aerial spin, you'll see. So we have her basic rapid combo, which is going to be like 2 or 3 spins. She's got a counterattack like everyone else. And then she thrusts. And you see there, right there, she just tripped. And that doesn't happen every time. Her basic attack... Oh, I got 2 in a row, that's even more. So basically, every time you do a combo ender with this character, the result's going to be different. You have that little basic one that's just like a little pitiful amount of damage. When she trips, it's like basically a guaranteed crit. And then she has this flip for her hold attack, which is like her fastest attack option and deals the most damage mostly. And then RNG can affect this move as well. So sometimes when you flip, a different thing will happen. Like maybe she'll flip twice, or maybe the spear will fall out of her hands. Could be anything. The RNG of this character is what makes her very unique and fun to play as. However, it also does create the problem of inconsistency because of the slow nature of her attack and not being able to always get the ender that you want. She's left wide open in a lot of situations, which I don't think it hurts her a lot for these basic like regular PvE sections that are not the raid bosses. I do think she's probably one of the not a very viable pick for raid bosses because of her inconsistencies. Like I just got like the flip there that like makes the lightning rod go down. That move probably deals the most damage out of all of her combo enders, but it's gonna be like the rarest one to ever happen, and it has like a lot of like end lag and startup, so it's like unknown whether an enemy is even gonna still be in that area to get hit by that. But she does have the advantage of being a spear user, which means she does have a healing art, which is from Yelsey's first 5-star weapon. And to my knowledge, it's like the only like healing art in the game that's like good, other than like any of Michelle's. Obviously, because Michelle's the healer of the game. We'll talk about that more when we get to her. But all in all, I'd say Amelie's like, she's up there as one of my favorite characters because I like the wackiness of everything, and her inconsistencies definitely are like could be a turn off for a lot of people. But as I said before, I don't think it's that big a deal in these regular sections because the wide area attacks like allow you to hit multiple enemies at once, and the small enemies usually stagger. But against raid bosses, this is rarely gonna be someone you see someone picking as like their main if it's not like specifically the Anomaly Fave Fest. This Mystic Art's also simple but nice and big, so it does its job a lot better than Hugo's. See, against bigger enemies like mid bosses and such, sometimes you actually you have to kind of hope the RNG goes your way, because otherwise you're just gonna get attacked over and over again. Like if you don't get a trip or a double spin, you might just die or run out of time in some challenges. Like it's what makes her challenge missions specifically are hard because of how much RNG, because the RNG dictates how fast you can clear each wave. So you kind of have to be praying for counterattacks and stuff, as well as good RNG on the combo finishes. And because of that, well, because this tier list is just for since this isn't taking raid boss into account, Amelie's gonna go right into B tier for me. Very fun character, just inconsistent. However, Child Amelie, completely different character, and we're gonna take a quick look at that next. You'll see in this next. You're gonna see in this next one, in this next training camp we do with her. She is quite literally a completely different character, completely different base moveset. And when using this moveset, you're forced to use one specific Mystic Art because her child form obviously isn't rigged to the same animations as her base model, so she can only perform the one Mystic Art that comes with the outfit, which is one of my which ends up being one of my favorite Mystic Arts in the game because it's actually a duo Mystic Art because she does it with Claude or Falcon, or however you want to say it. So even her counter attack is different here. So her basic combo attack, instead of being the wide swings, is now her just smashing around. Her just smashing her stick around and just at enemies, and she can basically do it forever. But if you do it for too long, she gets tired. And then her hold, instead of the aerial spin, is this grounded horizontal spin, and you can do that until she gets dizzy, but if you end it early then you're fine.
I have to protect everyone.
So all in all, the damage output isn't bad for any of this either. It's not like she's weak just because she's a child. She's literally she's probably the most consistent spear character because she has no RNG with a kit, and she's able to attack and deal a lot of damage. You just have to be a little bit mindful on just not letting her get dizzy or tired. But it's not that hard to do because you can literally spin for 3 whole seconds. It takes a while to get dizzy. You can move around while doing it too. That took more than 5 seconds to get dizzy. So you can keep spinning, then just stop at any time, then just start doing the normal attacks. So you can just keep attacking non-stop. So you just alternate between the regular and the hold attacks. It's similar tap pattern to if you're playing as someone like Leo or Edward, swapping between their taps and holds very frequently. Which is not that far from any other melee rushdown character in the game. And then you just have the novelty of being the child version of Amelie and then like having Falk help you in the Mystic Art. It's a really fun touch. It was not something, definitely something I wasn't expecting to happen. But it was definitely the most unique thing. Like if you compare, like other Tales of games have had you play as child version characters, or I mean like specifically Graces, like when you play as Child Asbel and stuff. About those movesets are like purposely made to be like weak or whatever because the people are children. Amelie's feels more like Lilith's moveset from Tales of Destiny Director's Cut, where it's more like, it's not like a weak moveset, but it's more like a joke moveset, but it still doesn't stop it from being effective. Like she honestly feels more like a katana character than a spear character. But these like these differences in like inconsistency specifically, and like her attack range is still comparable to base Amelie with the spins and stuff, where she can attack multiple enemies at once. But then her damage is like more consistently gonna be higher. So overall, she's a better character, just like objectively because of that. And so I would either let's see. Child Amelie's probably. I want to put her. She's probably gonna end up probably like bottom of A tier or something if I were to guess. By the way this is shaping out. But we're gonna have to hide her picture for a bit until we finish that analysis. Alright, next up is Anomaly. Now, I love Anomaly as a character. I can't say I'm personally the biggest fan of how she plays. She's definitely a character you can't just like run up and spam the like rapid combo with. That's because it doesn't do that much damage. Instead, she's all about her dash stance, where she draws her katana very fast, and if she does it at the same time that an enemy attacks her, she does a significantly higher amount of damage and hits multiple enemies at once. I just tried to do it there, but the counter has to. So you just see the rapid combo here. It's pretty short and it can take care of most small enemies no problem. But then you have this stance where she just dashes forward and slashes at anything in front of her. It does a decent amount of damage, but nothing special. So it feels a little annoying. But you see, if I do that against an enemy who is in the process of attacking, is either in startup or end lag of their attack. As long as you are the conditions are it has to be the enemy that you are technically locked onto. But if you hit them, it does such an incredible amount of damage. It basically one-shots most basic enemies in the game, and it deals AoE damage too, so it can hit all the enemies around them as well. So it's fun to just like some enemies have like really obvious times where you can use it. The only issue is that going for this move is a lot more riskier than going for something like, even though Hugo's counters suck, like in comparison to Anamaria's, because there's 0 damage reduction on her. There's a lot more risk reward involved with hers, but in her case, I believe the risk is far more, or the reward far outweighs the risk in this case. But with Hugo, it never feels that way. The reward's never high enough to justify the risk taken. She does have relatively weak defense though, so further adding to that risk reward type of thing, which I feel is really purposeful with her personality and everything, because she kind of like just jumps head into situations without considering the danger, and to her credit, she is really powerful without really having a real reason for being as powerful as she is. Her ring seems to be sort of like special reactor, and we never really get an explanation on it. And she always like trained since she was young with the sword, but it doesn't explain how she can just like cut boulders in half and stuff. Like even characters like Raoul and Edward are very like surprised by how good she is at fighting. But all in all, I think we're gonna go ahead and put Anna Maria at could put her B tier above Amelie. Well, she's another. She's a lot more fun to play as. Her high risk reward is a lot more satisfying, but we still can't ignore that risk. So it's fun to play as her, but like specifically when trying to do like her combat challenges and stuff, sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming to have to like always be perfect while somehow mitigating the damage you're taking because of how low her defense is. Regardless, still a very fun character to play as. A lot more fun than some of the other characters we're about to get to. Alright, now August. August is a straightforward character. He's a long-range black mage type character who's able to deal a lot of damage, but also has access to two separate stances, a defensive stance and an offensive stance technically. However, my biggest problem with August is I feel like his offensive stance is really bad and you would never use it, at least unless you're in a raid. You see he has this little thing down here. When he's in what's his shield stance, his basic auto attack is these 3 fireballs. They have good range, they deal a decent amount of damage, and they get the job done really well. And then if you hold the attack button, he puts up a shield around him, which completely negates all damage that he takes. He's the only character with a true guard, despite not being a tanky character at all. Like, he has really weak defense. But he's able to deal a lot of damage here with these basic attacks, even though this is technically the defensive stance. And then he just needs to spend his SP gauge there for the shield. And it's hard. The only thing that's kind of hard is it's hard to tell when you should shield and when you should dodge with this character, because his dodge has so much range. You just gotta learn like which moves then like you can swim faster with each. Yeah. So you do have to like think a little bit more with this character. So the offensive stance, the reason it's so bad is there it is. The basic attack is a short lightning thing that to its credit, it does guarantee paralyze whoever it hits. However, the low damage of it, like why would you, and like long startup to it, it's like why would you ever take the time to paralyze the person if you're just gonna immediately then switch the other stance and start rapid shooting the fireballs, or you could have just been rapid shooting the fireballs the entire time. Well, the reason for that is because the idea is to paralyze them, and then his whole attack changes from the shield to like charging this massive fireball or like ball of energy. And then you want to try to get it as big as you can, and then you shoot it, and it does like massive AoE damage. However, because of like how long it takes to charge, it never feels like it's worth doing, because it's such a commitment to like stand there and charge when there's enemies surrounding you. And then like, so it's so rare to even get off in the first place. And so it's like, why would you do that when you could just like be mobile, be safe, be able to dodge attacks, and deal good damage with the basic attack. One thing I will give credit to August for though, like even though his squishiness makes his challenges like some of the hardest in the game. Like you really have to play this character very, very perfectly, and it's a little bit hard to do that because you have trying to deal fast damage, as much damage they expect you to deal with him, and that's for a amount of time while also playing as safe as he can play. But when this character is absolutely a beast in raids, and if you see it used to be if you see an August in your raid, he is going to be the person dealing the most damage on your team. So it was always, so if he doesn't get aggro on him, he does shine, but in those PvE challenges it's a little hard to do what he needs to do. And since this specific tier list is about the non-raid boss scenarios, August is gonna have to go below Alexandra. Alright, next up is Bastion. Now Bastion's a pretty unique character. He's one of the characters who has an install. However, his install is achieved by spending his health. So the basic idea of his character is spending health in order to deal a great amount of damage. So he just dishes out tons of damage while spending his own health as a resource. But he has like this kind of slow basic attack combo, ends in like this tiny AoE. But if he goes ahead and presses the hold button, he spends some HP, activates the install, and this makes the attack slightly faster, significantly stronger, and makes the final attack much bigger, and gives him a different counter attack, which is much stronger. However, it will only last as long as the blue bar below his health is up. So before it ends, you're going to want to hold the button again, and it makes him throw this fireball, which spends the install and deals a lot of damage. But then, all of that is subsidized by the fact that his 5-star Mystic art is that giant dragon, which is a giant AoE, which deals pretty standard, which deals like as much damage as you'd expect from a Mystic art, but then automatically puts him in his install without spending any HP. And most of the time when you're playing as Bastion, you're fighting, or at least in episode 1, you were always fighting a large amount of enemies at a time. So you almost always will have your Mystic art active, so you never have to actually spend the HP as a resource for the install. So you're able to just like continue going ham forever with this character, dishing out insane amounts of damage. Probably the highest damage out, theoretically the highest damage output in the game, which is appropriate since he's probably canonically the strongest character in lore. So I just ran out of my install, but we're going to Mystic art again, so we just turn it back on without spending any of the HP. And so just that final hit alone is enough to kill most enemies. Bro, that counter attack wasn't even aimed at the boss and it almost one-shot him. I would say that was a very fast clear of that level of camp. Bastion's damage output is incredible. However, if you don't have that Mystic art, it can feel like it's very not set. Like it can feel very. He can feel like a very weak character because of how slow he is. But once if he has that Mystic art, instantly he shoots up like 2 tiers. Like his damage output compared to the amount of risk he has to take easily puts him in A tier. Wipes out any small enemy with ease and doesn't even have to spend the resources that he theoretically has to spend because of his Mystic art. while we never got a chance to see what this character would have gotten buffed in episode 2, I personally don't think he even really needed buffs except maybe an increase on his dash distance. See, we already, alright, let's see. Already played as Celia yesterday, so instead of playing as her again, I'm just gonna reiterate the fact that she's the sniper character and she's all about getting the perfect shots to like shoot multiple enemies at once and deal a lot of damage. And I talked about like how that is really like hard, not necessarily hard, but like frustrating to do in like the standard episodes and stuff. And she has similar, it feels very similar to the problems that August has, but unlike August, you don't have like the mobility to compensate for it, or the shield. You just have the perfect shot, and then if you don't get a perfect shot, your arrow does basically no damage, and then you also have a melee attack that basically does no damage. So you literally have to just do nothing but perfect shot over and over with this character, which is like, which gives it a skill floor, but doesn't make it, but the reward isn't, at least for the groups, for a large number of enemies, isn't very good. However, just like August, she will be very powerful in raids, which we'll get to in a bit. Now Charles. Charles here. Biggest anomaly of a character. Literally don't know what they were going for when they made this character. Actually have no clue how you are supposed to play this character. Like, there's kind of a philosophy behind it. Charles, he creates these, his whole gimmick is he creates these turrets that automatically fire at his enemies. So you start by, if you hold the button, he starts creating turrets, and he can create up to 5 at a time. And when he has all 5, his rapid attack combo ender is stronger. It is like this big little AoE. However, his basic attacks, you'll notice, they're melee, which is weird for a mage character that his basic attacks are melee, have like this really pathetic range and this really long startup. And see, I'm already dead, so it's like he's not, he doesn't have any defense. Like, he can't risk getting close to any enemy. So like, but that's like the only real way he can deal a lot of damage. Other than that, he'll spawn some turrets and then just like dodge around the battlefield and not interact with anything and let the game play itself. So you either can play the game like this, where you're not playing the game and win, or you can like actually try to hurt the enemies and lose.
No good.
The only other thing that he can do is that when he has all 5 turrets on, if he holds the button again, and obviously he can't create more turrets, so instead he shoots all of them out at once for like one big attack, but then it spends them, so he loses them, so he has to take the time to gather them all up again, and that just doesn't feel worth it at all. Why would you ever want to get rid of his turret? Like, even though it deals a lot of damage, the time it takes to then redeploy the turrets is way too long. Like, if you're gonna make a character who's supposed to be fighting people from a distance, don't make his basic attack a melee? And if you're gonna do something weird like that, don't make him one of the squishiest characters in the game. Because then people can't play him the way you want them to play him. And even having his other Mystic Art wouldn't be that much better, because instead of just a big circle around him, it's just a giant laser forward. So it's still a pretty linear Mystic Art, and I don't believe it has a special effect that's associated with it. I gotta put Charles in the Y category because I like, why did they make him this way? Like, it's weird. And like the only time I ever saw Charles in raids was during a Charles Fade Fest, so it's like no one else wanted to play him. I have no clue what they were going for. If they were, unless the buffs like literally completely changed how the like the character's basic attacks into something different, I don't know what they could have done to actually make him good, other than dramatically increase his attack output. But then he'd be broken if the turrets were too powerful, so I don't know. Alright. Fortunately, the next character we get to play as is Edward. And you can probably tell that Edward is the highest character that I have leveled up, and there is good reason for that, because he's easily the most fun character to play as in the game, and I think he is also has one of the highest damage outputs in the game. He has his basic attack combo that ends in like this jump where he throws these daggers. Well, I would have liked to have seen the daggers like get a buff to them where they would have homed in on enemies, because them just doing this standard fan shape and like almost never hitting their mark is really like unsatisfying because of how little damage they do. If they actually homed in on something, like it would have actually given them a purpose. Most of the time, the only time you're ever going to do this with Edward is if it's during a raid, it's during a boss fight, and you're specifically trying to dodge an attack, because while you're airborne, you're completely invincible. But most of the time, you're just going to be doing the first couple of hits of his rapid combo, and then going to his charge attack, which is this big lunge forward spin attack that hits multiple times. Very effective, high damaging, and almost always staggers your enemy, small or large. Pair that with the mobility, and Edward is a very like fast-paced character who deals a lot of damage, and also has the mobility to get out of danger very quickly. He has a lot. His risk reward is very much in his favor. You just have to sometimes think about it a little more than with like Leo, but other than that, he's very similarly just another basic protagonist character. He's very straightforward. And then this mystic art, I don't even have to say anything. It's very similar to Alexandra's, where it just kind of warps to every enemy, except it lasts longer and and each slash has a bigger AoE. And because I've spent so many resources getting dupes for that mystic art, it's at its max damage, so the damage I get off that's crazy. I'm playing as Edward in raids. Even if I was significantly weaker than the people I was playing with, I would still usually get like top 2 damage in the party. On this weapon art is just fun, where he gets to shoot these blades. It's very effective because of his high attack frequency. It's so effective that I put like just a basic physical attack up art as a secondary instead of projectile, because just pairing the two, it's like solidifying what already made the character strong. With these arts, just makes him a shredding machine. The fastness of his gameplay, and paired with the effectiveness of it, the raw power, the safety, the mobility, just like the perfect package of all of it. And no other character really moves around like that. The only other character that comes close is Leo, but his dash stops a little short and has more end lag due to the follow-up combo. Meanwhile, Edward's able to just keep going, and then when episode 2 came around, they buffed it so that there was even less end lag, and it didn't even need that buff. So it was just happy to see, and just further solidified him as my favorite character to play as, and he will always be S tier in my opinion. Easily. Probably going to remain there at the top of S tier for the best character during the game. It's really sucks to do this, but we're probably gonna have to cut this stream off into a part 3 because of how late it's starting to get. These story episodes really did take a lot, were really long. So we're gonna stop this tier list halfway through, and we'll finish it up tomorrow, and then do the last other, and then be able to quickly do the other 2 tier lists far quicker. It won't, because we won't be doing it like any more gameplay as many gameplay demonstrations. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and end it here for tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow with the next half of the gameplay demonstrations, last preservation, because this is most likely going to be, after all this is over, the only saved gameplay of a lot of this. So so we're just gonna try our best to give every character their fair shot and talk about each of them as they come up. Yeah. So tomorrow, just the more I'm talking about it, the more sad I am to see this game go, and it just really sucks that, like, there's a lot of circumstances, and like it makes sense why this game wasn't as successful as other Tales of mobile games, like this, despite all that, it just drives home the point further, like the fact that, like, it makes sense that this didn't make money, but then the fact that something like Crestoria, which was a far more beloved game and made more money than this game, also wasn't able to continue, even though it was like, even though it probably should have. Like, this game had a lot of circumstances. I have like a big long Twitter thread about it if you want to read, but everything about why it failed, there were more reasons why Luminaria failed than why Crestoria failed, which is basically what I'm trying to say. It's all very sad thing, and the amazingness of that final episode is just what makes it all so more bittersweet. And I just really wish that all the writers and artists and everything that worked on this project, like everything, they obviously had a lot of passion put on it. If you like followed the game like before it was released, like since it was announced, that like they had all these big presentations and they had all these big name voice actors, and there was a lot put into this game. It's just a shame that it didn't meet Bandai's sales expectations / mandatory stuff. But whatever, we're talking, I'll probably just reiterate all this tomorrow anyway. With all that, so once again, this is gonna be it for tonight. We'll talk about the rest of the characters tomorrow. See you.